Hello, just bear with me whilst I set up this live stream. It'll just take me a couple of minutes. So I've got to find it so I can see where I am on the camera. And there we go. Hello, can you hear me? Just need to adjust the camera slightly. Right, let's try that. See if I'm any closer or in position. Oh, that's not too bad, that's all right. I'll start this in a minute, then I can edit out the bit afterwards. So hello and welcome back to the channel. This is a live stream for the post premiere of reading subscribers' comments, episode 3. And if you've just seen that, well, thank you very much for watching. That was very kind of you, and I thoroughly enjoy hanging out. It looks okay. Okay, that's great. So we'll just start rating. This is like a hangout. No set ideas for the live stream. We'll just read comments and answer your questions and talk about anything to do with the Vikings. Or indeed the Saxons too. I am drinking water. Hello, we have 3 people watching, so welcome to this live stream. I am Bragi, and this is a live stream hangout with our subs. And with me, of course. So if you have any comments or anything like that, please leave them. So how you been today? I've been great. I went in Derby town, that's what we call it, and by chance I bumped into Thomas Dale. No, it's not gin. I don't really like gin. I don't like vodka either. I like rum. It's just what you call a small beer, a very weak shandy beer. It's the type of beer you'd be drinking as a child in the Dark Ages, because after all you cannot trust the water, especially if you lived in a very highly populated area, or even a town. I've been painting some shields this week. This one's been repainted, so it needs a bit of a touching up just to make it a little bit better. And work out the shield boss, make it a bit more shinier. And then I intend to let Egil bash it as many times as he wants. And I've also painted this shield as well, the black sections. Although I've got to do the green sections in this shield. And hello, Plan here. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not the most best person at pronouncing things. So hello, welcome to this live stream. And hello, Njal Sigmundsson. It's great to see you here. And as you know, I am Bragi. And if you've got any comments, you're more than welcome to leave comments and I'll read them out for you. I've been thinking about making some shields recently, so that's the thing I might do on camera. No, it's actually shandy or weak beer, not water. I wish it was water, but by the gods, they keep providing me with beer. And I've had a massive delivery of beer tonight, so I'm kind of sorted until Christmas. Oh yeah. No, it's not gin, Thomas. I don't like gin. Vikings drink beer. Yeah, so I've been thinking about shields. I think I might think about make one on camera at some stage in the spring or summer. I might go through the whole process of how we make an authentic shield. So it's going to be fun, that. And we will also talk about what we do to make it a bit tougher, because our shield are modern apply, but I like to use Hessian, or as you call it in America, burlap, and some nice linen on top of that. And then start coating it. Yeah, I made both these shields probably about 15 to 18 years ago. So I made quite a few shields in my day. And certainly as a group, when you was together with a lot of people, you'd have shield making sessions where you just spend all day. And some jobs are great, some jobs are not so great, like making shields. Having to cut them out with a saw, that's not fun. I like the bit when you put the rind on the dog chews, as we call them. We soak them all slimy, and then we have to cut them up. So you need a good pair of scissors for that. And then we just use carpet tacks, which were quite authentic for the period, to tack them on. Although both these shields need a little bit more work on to make them more safer for combat. Well, they're not too bad at the moment. So, and you can't beat a good shield. I'd be quite interested to get some lime planks and actually try to make one authentically. As lime was often used for shields, it's a good dense wood. But there must have been people just focusing on making shields. But then without the blacksmith you couldn't have the shield boss. I mean, the boss would have to be made from a lump of metal and repeatedly hammered out by 2 or 3 people. And so you end up with a disc, and then you can start, when you've got a disc, you can start trying to shape the boss. It's just not an easy thing to do. No, I don't have any bows. I know Thorsson, he's got 2 or 3 bows he's never used for years. It's something I won't mind. I do have a bow shaft which is incomplete. They're not easy to make. I tried to make a few bows over the years, and some are broken and some are not finished. But there's something very nice about making a bow. I'm seeing it to the finished product. I've also been very lucky to actually handle bows from the Mary Rose. As a friend of mine called Dave, he has one in his naval ship study in his house, and it's fantastic to see, the shape of the bow has not really changed for hundreds of years at that point, when all these bows went down with the Mary Rose. So the English longbows, something to be admired at. And there's a very good channel on YouTube. I can't remember the name of him, but he's an old man with a beard, white beard. He looks a bit, reminds me of Santa, but he specialises in the bow. So if I remember, I'll put it in the description when this goes public at the end of the live stream finishing, and you're going to go and check that channel out. And at some point we're going to review some channels in a video, so we'll definitely review that channel and some of the others we'll like. Yeah, I often forget channels names. There's so many I like on YouTube, so without leaving the screen and going off to find him. But I watched some of his content, and you can tell he's been doing it for years because his back is just so muscular with having to use a bow all the time. So that's also another very interesting aspect about this guy, is that he's got an archer's body, and it's not something you'll see very often. So we've got a comment here from Thomas Dell. I'll read some comments out. I used to be in archery group years ago. It was really cool. I should have stayed with it, but I sold the bow. Yeah, I did some archery at school, and I still got some modern bows, like a modern composite bow, and a kind of a shorter wooden bow. I've also know this guy who can just literally go in the wood and just make a bow out of anything, and he's incredible at making bows. I'd love to get him on the channel. Yeah, I like the idea of channel reviews, because it's one thing we're not done yet, really, so far. We've mentioned channels in the vlogs, and certainly in the comments reading episodes we've done. But an actual video of us talking about channels we like, we can review, it's not done. And now I've figured out how to put pictures in the videos. I can actually take a still of the channel and put that in to show you guys. So I think that would be very cool, because I think about YouTube, it's all about networking and sharing out these channels, because there's some fantastic channels out there with some really great content, and I like to share those channels with you guys. Of course, if we had the community tab, which is not gone all the way out on YouTube yet, that would be a lot easier, because I could just simply go and post a video to the whole community, and then you guys will just go and see it there. So I'm really looking forward to getting the community tab, and hopefully you'll see it soon when YouTube get round to giving it to people like me. Yeah, a wooden bow would be good. It's something we'll look at in the future to get and buy. I wouldn't mind buying a Saxon lyre as well, because we could do some strumming on it and make some tunes. We could have Egil doing some poetry as I play the lyre. So that's another thing I want to get. They're about anywhere between £200 and £500 for one. You can buy these kits, but I think I prefer to either buy one authentically from a manufacturer who knows what they're talking about. And there's a couple in the UK that just make medieval instruments. So let's read some more comments. So we have a comment here from Kilatranhai. I do hope I'm pronouncing that right. The guys at the Mino shared a video of his. Oh right, yeah, that's cool. And then we have another comment here. I'll read this one out from Njal Sigmundsson. Was hunting in the Dark Ages a specialist thing, or did most men hunt to feed their families? Well, it depends what kind of class you were. If you was well off, had silver, then you probably wouldn't have to go out hunting. You'd have people to do it for you. Now, if you was relatively poor, let's say you had a farmstead, you was married, had some children, so one of the ways you would look to get more meat in and more food would go hunting. And you'd have to go and hunt on land which is free to hunt on, because land would have been owned by other people, and therefore it would have been classed as poaching. And you would have got in problems with it if you're not careful. And then you find yourself with the magistrate being taken to court by your neighbour, and then you have to pay him a load of silver. So you try to do it on free land, but it's certainly, yeah, hunting was something. Some people would specialise in hunting, naturally, but if you were hungry and you were running short of food, you would definitely try to hunt some deer or some boar in a group. And it's very interesting. I've been boar hunting once using spears, and that's quite a daunting thing to do, as I know somebody used to kind of follow and deer and hunt them. And I've always wanted to have a go with the spear, so we kind of decided a group of us to have a go, and that was very fascinating. Although we didn't really manage to catch one, and I don't really fancy facing a wild boar with just a spear. I mean, they are vicious creatures. So yeah, certainly a lot of people would have been hunting. It depends on your wealth. If you had more coin, you wouldn't need to. But of course, deer was also quite high up meat on the table. So you're more likely to eat your chickens and try to raise them for a good source of food. You may have one cow, you're going to eat your cow or your oxen, because you need that to plough at the fields, to plant your barley. So. Oh yes, you can't beat a good spear. Yeah, so I've got to look up the poaching laws a little bit more. Perhaps we can make a video on that. I'm fairly certain Egil knows more on that than I do. So that's something to look into, and another idea for a video. Because poaching would have gone on a lot. Probably more so in the medieval times when some of the rulers were far harsher. Probably in the times of the Saxons and the Middle Ages, then it wasn't so bad. But of course more people came, then there'd be less food as well, so as the population grew. So let's just read some of these comments. So Thomas Dale, interesting. Was it subject to poaching laws at the times of well? Yes, I imagine it would have been. Let's face it, if you had some land, and on that land you had some deer, and your neighbour came and poached one of your deer, then that would be breaking the common law, and therefore you'd want some compensation because you've had a loss. So that's then you would find your local magistrate in the village or your local town, and you would make proceedings to get your money back. Now, if you've got a good neighbour, they'll just admit it. Oh yeah, we called one of your deer by mistake. Here's some silver. We're sorry. But this is how feuds start, and people falling out, and you hear a lot about this in the sagas. So let's read some more comments. Thomas Dale, have you heard Hertz Archer song? I think I have some years ago. Not heard it for a while. And Thomas Dale says, I want a spear still. Oh yes, I need some more spear shafts. And we have a comment from Keletranhai. Where are you from, Bragi? Well, I'm from the town of Northworthy, and that is a Saxon town known today as Derby. And Derby is kind of smack bang in the middle of England. So that is where I am. I'm a Mercian. Always been proud to be a Mercian, and from the county of Derbyshire, so one of the 5 counties, one of the 5 boroughs. So, and we kind of paid homage to the Saxons of Northworthy. by calling our channel after that. That was an idea from me and Tia here when we first started the channel. What about this? Well, it'll be August, September last year. And Thomas as well lives in Derby, so you may be seeing Thomas on the channel soon, telling some tales. So he's going to be in training. You're in training, Thomas. You've heard that first here. So let's read some of these comments. So you live in Barcelona. Continue reading your comment. Looking forward to escape this concrete prison soon. Yes, I've been to Barcelona. I've been to Spain a few times on my own with my friends and with my parents as a child. So I always enjoyed going. So love to go there again. And I can imagine, yes, there's nothing like getting out in the countryside, because we live on the edge of the city and it's a little bit concretey, and there's nothing like the country. It being a nice wood. Well, let's read some more of these comments. We've got 2 comments here from Thomas Dale. A great granddad of mine died by being gored by a boar. He was butchered at Dale Abbey. He didn't like the idea of being slaughtered. And another comment here from Thomas Dale. My great granddad had enough time to get to his favourite chair at home before bleeding to death. Oh, at least you died in your homestead. And then Thomas says, I live in Derby. And Kaya Tranhaya. Oh, interesting. He said those words. And then Thomas Dale says this in a comment. Why was Derby being described as being in the north? Well, if you're down south in Wessex, Derby is definitely up north. And I think anywhere above Birmingham in the UK should be classed as up north. I've always think of myself as a northerner and a Midlander. But yes, I just seen that comment. Trainee female storyteller. Yes, well, we still have to find one. It's been a long search to find a lady to come and tell some folk tales to you guys, but we will, not giving up. So, and Njal at Kilduff, anything north of London is up north. Yeah, that as well. Anything north of London's up north. Too right. I'd hate to live down south. Now, a comment here from Thomas Dale. Laughed out loud. It is. I was wondering if it was North Mercia or something. No, we're just in Mercia, by a few miles, I believe. That's good. So, I hate to be not in Mercia and be in Wessex. Oh yes. And we're going to make a video on Mercia at some point. I'm still working on my video on Peda, that's or Pieda, as you may pronounce it as well. And that's the son of Penda. And of course, King Pieda was very famous for bringing Christianity to Mercia. So some pagans don't like him and some do. But he's one of these people that you don't hear much about him. There's very few videos on YouTube about him. So I want to correct that. And in time we'll cover all these famous kings and queens. And everybody is famous in the Dark Ages, but there's a lot of people to cover. One video I want to make is a video about Leif Erikson. Now, I nearly did make a video for Leif Erikson Day, but I just didn't quite get around to doing it. So, some more comments here. It's from Thomas Dale. Anyone living north of the end of Brighton Pier is a northerner. Well, that puts the French as southerners. Well, we used to own it, didn't we, one day, Brittany? Perhaps we should take it back again. Well, perhaps not. I think we'll leave it to the French. Nice place though, I do like going to France. Francia, as it was called in those days. And you can imagine there you are on a longboat, and this is during the very early 9th century, and there's a few of you in a few long boats, and you're going down a river, and you start hearing this strange kind of sound, like the music from the churches, and you would wonder what that was. Then of course you'll find the big church, the cathedral, and go and sack it, and take all the gold. But you know, the Christians did the same, so it's propaganda from one side and propaganda from the other side. It's an old thing. So, anything you want to ask me? Anything about Vikings or Saxons? If you have any suggestions for videos we can talk about in the future. I'm always looking to add to our folders of content we're going to make. We've got lots planned. I was just thinking about my Horde series where I'm going to talk about some of these fantastic hordes that have been found in Britain. But it's going to take me many years to cover them all if there's 2,000. I mean, if I do one a week, that's going to take me 20 years. So I could be here for a very long time on YouTube making this content. But I don't believe in giving up. I've never been somebody that gives up easy. I just keep battling on. That's what Vikings do. We battle and die in battle, hopefully. Well, keep your comments rolling in. Now we're down to 3 people. Oh, goodbye, whoever's gone. And have a nice night. And I'll probably live stream for about 90 minutes to 2 hours. About 2 hours, the battery will die on the camera. So there'll be no live stream after that. So we've got a comment here from Sayat Planhire. I'm going to have to get Techno to teach me how to say your name. I have to go. Got to get up early tomorrow. Great channel, Bragi. Looking forward to more videos and streams. Yes, we'll be doing a lot more in the future. So thank you very much for your comments and thank you for supporting the channel. It truly does mean a lot to both me and Egil and to all our fans and subs. So farewell. May the gods shine down and look at you and bring you happiness and wisdom. Ketlan Air, right. Ketlan Air. Yeah, I'm still not great at pronouncing. It's one of the things that put me off doing this channel was some of the pronunciation of some of like the Viking saga names, you know, let alone try and remember them all. So, night folks, you have a good night, have a good night's sleep. I hope to have a good night's sleep myself tonight. Oh yes. Although today I went and bought a new camera, so I might be playing with that after this. And reading up the manual. Yes, you've heard it first. I am going to read the manual. Night night. Don't let Vikings bite, as my father would say. Magnar. It's strange looking at yourself on TV but not hearing no sound. If I figured it out, I could have had some like Anglo-Saxon music playing in the background. But we'll leave that to another vlog. And if I could figure out another way to see the screen without using my TV, we could have like fire sound effects in the background too. I quite like the thought of that. So, Thomas Dale, any comments or any questions you have? And it was very nice having a beer today with you, Thomas, in Derby. So, we'll have to meet again very soon. And next time I walk down, we can have more than one beer. Well, I can have more than one beer. It was very nice beer as well. It was great talking about the channel. You always love talking about YouTube and the channel to people. And whenever I meet folk, I always try to tell them, you know, oh yeah, check out the channel. So, always trying to spread the word. I'm just going to go and check the wire on my phone. Bear with me. This will be a close-up shot of Bragi. Oh look, got off screen. That's a bad Bragi. What I'm doing there, help, but that live stream. There we go. Hey, I'm back again. I can see myself. So we have a comment here from Njal Sigmundsson. Do you know if Uruks were still around in Anglo-Saxon England, or whether they were extinct? Because the rune poem makes reference to them. It's a very interesting point that we're often, you know, been told that a lot of these dinosaurs died out millions of years ago, but yet people are still seeing strange creatures. And it makes you think about the folk tales, you know, the one I told recently from Iceland of the monster of Vaster Hop Lake. Well, who came up with the monster in the lake? You know, fair enough. You know, it makes you think, where did they get these ideas from? So yeah, it does make you think that perhaps there was still animals around which shouldn't have been around still. So yes, it's may have possibly been around, but because we don't quite know the evidence, and that's something to look into. That'll make a great video. Is a scram sax, and I've actually tied it up. Remember last time it was very rusty, so now I've actually got polished the blade. It's a very lethal weapon actually. I mainly use it on camp to cut bread. It's a great bread cutting weapon, and I've had this many years. It's a treasured knife. This and another little scram sax I've got, and it's going to go through some work. I would be tempted to take the handle off and put a mount on there, but I don't really want to. But I am going to put a nice mount on there, and if I could find a little bit of silver, I could smash a lot and make it into a little bit of a plate. I think I will do. And I think the next process for this blade is to keep rubbing it down now. I did try a method with this, with using tin foil and WD-40, and I must admit it was quite effective at getting the basic rust off. But there's still a little bit areas around here where they get rusty, so you have to be very careful of that bit and treat it individually. And you always get bits of rust around here for some reason. So, and I think over time the handle is discoloured as well with use. I used to use this a lot for taking bark off ash for making pegs and anything useful. Ash is one of the best woods out there, it really is. So that's a scram sax, and that is actually made from a modern machete, believe it or not. So I think it's, you know, you can buy these machetes for £5 at a car boot, and then with a bit of work you can end up with one of them. So, but I do need to make a new scabbard for it at some point when I can find it. What do we do with it? Hey up, scabbard, come back scabbard. Right, say look. Just being careful not to stab myself on camera, because that would be quite bad. You'll probably make one of those videos of top 10 fails during a live stream. Bragi stabs himself. Oh! And I have stabbed myself with this knife a few times. I've got a few scars on my hands. It's just it happens that way in enactment. You know, you're using sharp weapons to cut your food, so. And that's how it used to be a machete, so it's razor sharp. And especially when I sharpen things, I sharpen them very sharp. It is a very cool knife. So let's just read a couple of these comments. Thomas Dale says, "I looks like a brilliant camera. Always press the big red button that says do not push." Oh yes, never press that button. And I'll read some more of his comments. There's a comment here from Thomas Dale. "I'm sure Rune was meant to have connections to the Orok, wasn't it? Question mark. Or was it fear? It was about earning some reward though. A great challenge." Yeah, I've heard that before. Something we need to think about and discuss a bit more on that one, I think. At some point I'm going to do a comments video where we're going to go through all the past live streams and go through your comments, and me and Egil will answer your comments, and the ones I can't answer, then Egil will answer them. So just bear with me with that in time. So we have a comment here from Njal Sigmundsson. "I think so. They survived until the 1500s in Poland, so maybe the continental Saxons would have encountered them." Yeah, I think there was enough woodland and there was enough wild spaces for the Orc to survive, probably in small numbers, and then gradually they would have become extinct in the later medieval times. But you think about the wolf, you know, you can go out in America in the wilds and you could spend all day and never see a wolf, or you could go out and never see a mountain lion, but they do exist. So there's always a good precedence that things are out there that you know do exist, but they're just not seen. But it also makes you think about, well, why do we have all these Anglo-Saxon motifs of green men? You know, was there some offshoot of a Neanderthal still left in Great Britain? Possibly so. I mean, where did they get the idea of the green man? It's something I've got to do some more research on at some point. It's on my list of folklore subjects to make a video on. And, you know, perhaps one day we'll get to go to some of these churches and actually look at some of these Saxon carvings. So that would be great. So a comment here from Thomas Dale. Yes, I presume they would have roamed around most of Europe during the seasonal migration period, perhaps, or for grazing. Yeah, I believe they are migrational. It's a very interesting point. So, any more comments? Have I missed any? No, I don't think I have. Yeah, I'll put that down. We'll make a video on that, and I'll speak to Egil, the wise Egil, who sometimes dances on camera. But that's one thing we always think about. We think about the Dark Ages. We don't think about the fast travel and the fast amount of trade going on. We think of them being not civilized people, but our ancestors were very, very clever people, and they traded, you know, all over Europe and into Asia. So we often forget that, you know. So not only did we trade a lot, people moved. And naturally the Saxons, you know, of England would have got on with the Saxons of Saxony. So there must have been trade between them. I mean, just look at the amount of amber we get from the Baltic we find in UK and finds. Always amazes me that we find all this marvellous amber. And it all comes from the Baltic. A lot of amber does. It's quite rare to find it on a beach in the UK, but people do. I've got quite a bit of amber, so I'm quite lucky there. So Thomas Dale says, what's your favourite saga? Well, I think the sagas I enjoyed the most were some of the sagas like Egil's saga. I thoroughly enjoyed reading that one many years ago, and I just found the whole story to be gripping. And there's just bits of it I remember today. And also remember Njal saga, reading that one. That was another good story. The Finland sagas, they're a good read. The Orkney saga, I read that. That was another gripping story. And there's so many elements in these sagas, you can just read into them forever, and some fantastic stories. At some point we will just cover some stories from the sagas rather than trying to cover the old saga, because I think that's going to be more approachable for us. And I do have a few stories, including one from a saga about a poet called Bragi who encountered a troll. So I've got to do a bit of research on that. And I've also got some stories from the sagas about the Dragon and people encountering the undead I'm going to tell. So, oh yes, it's amazing how much the Vikings did travel, you know. So there's a commentator, just read that out. I am still amazed, this is Thomas Dale, by how much the Vikings must have travelled to be able to have become the Varangian Guard. Oh yes, it's not an easy feat. You live in Norway, and you've got to go down all these rivers, across lands to get there. That's not an easy feat at all. You know, you're risking life and limb to get there. And I've actually been to Istanbul, and I've actually seen the Viking carving in the mosque there, and that was fascinating. I remember seeing that as a child. I remember seeing it, I still remember seeing it now, but it didn't really take much into my mind because at that time I was young. I wasn't so heavily into Vikings as I am now. But when you come from a Viking town, you kind of get intrigued by the Vikings, what you should do. And another comment here from Thomas Dale. Also, didn't they find a jade Buddha about 2 inches tall in a Viking burial near York recently? I think they found some Syrian cloth for tapestries. Well, I've not heard about that. I wouldn't be surprised to a degree, because, you know, somebody could have traded that from the east, and then that Buddha could have travelled slowly over this way and got traded by other people. But I'll have to do some research on that for sure. I was just being told today about a Iron Age burial site that's been found and been dug recently, and there's lots of bodies being found with lots of violence being put onto them. So that's quite interesting. So I'm looking forward to reading a bit more about that as well. And perhaps at some point when we can get a bit more organised, we could do a monthly segment on latest archaeology news, because I think from Egil's point of view, that's his profession. And from my point of view of being able to find that research and find those bits of articles for you to talk about, I think that would be good. So let me know if you like that idea. I think once a month that'd be good. We could just sit down 30 minutes or an hour, or during a live stream and discuss what's been found recently, because we're always finding things. I'm looking forward to the new series on BBC4 this winter about the latest archaeological finds. I forget the name of it. Perhaps Thomas, you might know. I've got too many things going around my head often. It's all this content and ideas I'm working on. It's a non-stop thing. You just live and breathe YouTube. And hey, let me know, what are you drinking? I'm actually drinking some French lager. It's not bad actually. It's drinkable with a bit of lemonade in it. It doesn't half quench your thirst. And you know, it's water we take for granted so much in this world we live in. But yet water was so scarce, and especially pure water back in the Viking times or the Saxon times. You'd have to boil all your water, and you'd have to be drinking beer all day. So if you had a farmstead, you'd be constantly making and brewing ale. So it kind of been a bad life. So comment here from Thomas Dale. There was the old Silk Road that belonged the old Silk Road, and that was a very interesting series. So we have a comment here from Njal Sigmundsson. Did the Anglo-Saxons have formal gardens like they had in the later medieval period? Well, there probably wouldn't have been formal gardens like we know them today, but they would have certainly had patches of ground where they would have grew plants they would have known about for medicines and healing. There is a very good article from, I think it's from Norway, on Viking gardening, which I recently read, and that was a very in-depth article, kind of talking about the plants they grew. And I've not completed reading it yet, but I do have it down as for a video idea. I mean, they wouldn't have planted like botched hedges, no. So if you think about a formal garden, that's not how they would have been. But certainly, if you had a longhouse and a small farmstead, then certainly I think your wife would have some kind of way to grow plants, you know, to put in the pot. You know, your food at times was bland, so any herbs you can throw into your pot, into your cauldron or kettle to make your food taste better would also be in practice. And also, often the amount of seeds found in bread. I mean, for instance, a piece of bread that was found had over 30 different types of seed in it from the Dark Ages. And that's a lot of seeds, so they would have also fattened up the bread with seeds and collected them. So, and we will make a video on gardening during the Dark Ages when I think of a clever way to title it. So, because it's something not talked about often. We don't think about Vikings and Anglo-Saxons being gardeners, but to a degree they would have been. And especially in the monasteries. I mean, the monasteries probably would have better organised gardens than anybody else. You know, you had a lot of people to manage and to look after. So, a comment here from Thomas Dale. That would be interesting to know. Indeed, it would. And another comment from Thomas Dale. French lager, question mark, with lemonade, question mark. I'm still on tea. Yes, I had a nice cup of tea earlier. But if you're going to do a live stream, then I may as well have a nice shandy, refreshing myself. It's been a very busy day today. It's been a busy week. I'm always busy. And I'm hoping at some point, not tomorrow, but Friday, if I can get out Friday, do some filming, that'd be great. If not, it'll probably be Sunday. Martin Belfast. Hello, onion, cabbage, turnips, white, purple carrots. And welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you again here, Martin. You're making me hungry again. That's hell. Oh, you can't beat a nice fried breakfast. That makes me hungry too. And Thomas Dale says, hello Martin, welcome. Nice to see you again. It certainly is. It's always nice to hang out with you guys and to make new friends. And, you know, one day we'll get over to Belfast and meet you in real life, Martin. You can cook us some of this amazing food you've been telling us about. And we've just been talking about gardening in the times of the Saxons. So it's a very interesting subject. What kind of gardens they will have, what would they grow, and I'll do some more research and give you some more information on that in the future in another live stream. I just can't remember everything I read the other day. I've read quite a few long and complex papers recently on various subjects to do with this. Oh, that was a long pause of silence there. You get them now and again in live streams. And I hope you are liking this idea of having live streams in the week. So Thomas Dale says these words in a comment. I'm rather fond of onions. I had some onion rings with a burger earlier. Yes, you did. I usually fry some for my sausage and cheese sandwich. Yes, and I still don't know how he managed to miss the fact that we had onions in front of us without anybody saying onion. Oh, what a mistake that was. But I'll remember that. And one day we must get an onion in real life and use it as a prop. I'll put some in my bag and give some to Egil. Yeah, Egil. Although many years ago I gave Egil, it was a massive beetroot. It was like this size. I think Egil described it as being the shape of a baby's head. So I gave him this bit of beetroot, and this will be 12 or 13 years ago, and he put it in his freezer, and it's still there today. It's vintage beetroot now. Oh yes, and no spuds. Yes, I often hear that myself, you know, did they have potatoes, did Vikings have chips? Yeah, so this is a comment here from Martin Belfast. And no spuds. I'm fed up with people thinking Vikings had spuds. Yes, why can't we think about the old turnip, you know, turnip chips instead of spuds? We've been so lucky to have spuds, and but I think we've been spoilt by potatoes. And you can't beat a lovely honey roasted parsnip cut into quarters. Oh, gonna have some of them at Christmas. And we also forget about all the different plants in the hedges we can use. There's so many plants in the wild we can use and put into our pots of stew. We often forget that and we take it for granted these days. But then again, a lot of this information has been lost. Unless you're a layman and you know how to go into your hedgerows and your woodlands and to pick the mushrooms and the right ones and to harvest the wild. We have lost that ability to a degree. Although I do hear people getting more into it these days and going out harvesting plants in the wild and in towns. You'd often, if you're near a river, you'll find garlic mint, for instance. It's very nice that on your salad. So another comment here. Let's read. Thomas Dale says these. Spuds were a Tudor thing, weren't they? Indeed they were. Came over with Columbus. And we've had chips ever since. And tobacco. Chocolate. And Martin Belfast says, that's why I said the veg. Oh yes, we often neglect some of the nice veg. And Thomas Dale says, the batter on the onion rings created an invisibility shield. Indeed it did. So we couldn't see the onion. You know, I often think, you know, did they have batter? I suppose they did. You know, batter's very easy to make. It gets me hungry now. I've not had much to eat today either. You get days like that when you're just very busy and you just forget to eat. Or forget to eat a lot. Hey, but never mind, I can get into my tunics a bit better, lose a bit more weight. We need to start wearing my chainmail around the house. I'll soon knock some weight off them. And I've got to decide which suited mail to wear. I've got 3 of them. Although one of them needs taken apart, and I'm not really looking forward to doing that because it's an 8mm set. Oh, it's a daunting job. I've been putting it off for years. So, any more comments? Please leave your comments coming in. I'd love to read your comments, and we will read some of these comments, like I said, in the comments video in the future. Because I like to show Egil all these lovely comments we've been getting in our live streams. And Thomas Dale says, I always remember how pungent wild garlic was. Oh yes. This is a thing we did in the 19th century in acting, where We would basically go in no kit apart from what you carried. And then we would look to sleep in a hedgerow. We would have a bit of canvas to cover ourselves up. And then we'd just live off the hedgerow and just find whatever we could find. One of our guys was very good at catching rabbits, so that was rabbits for our meat. We had another guy who knew what to get out of the hedgerows. So, and we often used to have little stews like that and just campaign it. It's something we don't often see in the Dark Age period, is that campaigning approach, where you just carry what you would have had into battle. It's something I often think about. So, Martin Belfast says, spuds used to be the only animal feed. People never ate them. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Oh, if I have, I've probably forgotten. Though it's not been a very good year here for potatoes, as it's been very dry. So it's not good. I hope it's been a good year for parsnips. Cool, I couldn't live without a parsnip. It's a very underrated veg, I say. And I certainly remember on camp some of the nice meals we had. Nice bread and cheese and your stew. And it was always very interesting when you sat down in your tent with your door open. I would try to have an authentic tent. That all these public will come round and watch you eat your dinner. That always amazed me, that did. You know, you'd have 20 people around just watching you eat. You know, as if they've not seen somebody eat food before. Although I'm dressed as a Viking or Saxon, it's not something you see in Derby every day. Yes. So Thomas Dale says, I want a Viking feast now. I quite like the sound of a Viking buffet. I love a buffet. If you get one of them delivered, I would do. Quickly deliver me a buffet of mixed food. But the, you know, if you go back, imagine some of the feasts they must have had. Some of the big table with such fine meat and goose and swan. I think the food must have been really awesome back in the day. And gradually we're learning more about it. I do have a massive folder somewhere. It's a friend of mine collected a load of recipes from the Dark Ages. So, and that was a fascinating folder to look at and read. I've been looking for it for some years now. So one day I'm going to find it and fascinate myself with all these recipes and information about Dark Age food. And it's something I do hope we can do on the channel in the future. Perhaps we can get a side opening tent up and get a firebox on the go and cook you some authentic food and talk about it more. That would be great. Authentic cooking with Bragi. I'll probably burn things like King Alfred. What are you burning those oat cakes for? So any more comments, please keep your comments. 5 people watching, so thank you very much for watching. It's always great to see so many people here, and naturally in the future when we do more live streams we'll have a lot more people here. So it's just a matter of time. And I am planning another live stream on Friday as well. 10 o'clock on Friday, this Friday coming, we have a premiere, and that is the Northmen, a Viking Saga trailer review. And I believe that's about 40 minutes long. So I'm planning to do a live stream then. And then next week I'll probably do one live stream. I'll not do one on a Wednesday to give myself a week off. As being a carer, I often struggle to get good sleep. So we've got a comment here from Martin Belfast. They never did, though, that they was only fit for animals. It was the French who started to eat them. Well, just the French. I mean, snails and everything, and eating horses. I mean, I think the French have got a lot to blame for. But yeah, you know, we welcome the French, and I definitely would be Napoleonic and be French if I did Napoleonic Wars again. Because a lot of my friends did British, and they found the British to be boring. So they started hanging out with the French and the Russians, and they had more fun. So naturally, they went to be French Napoleonic reenactors. It's another interesting period of history, and we've got a lot to owe to the series Sharp for highlighting reenacting in the 90s, I think. Another series I've always thoroughly enjoyed watching. It's, you know, I'd love to see some more series like Sharp, but based on the Dark Ages. So we have a comment here from Martin Belfast. Not really. Poor people never had meat every day. Only fed stews or bread. Yeah, if you was poor, you wouldn't eat your meat, and you couldn't afford your meat. You may have had 1 or 2 chickens. You were wanting to keep them for your eggs. So you would have had more stews, and meat would have been a rarity. If you had coin and silver, then you could certainly have more meat in your diet. And let's face it, if you had the coin, you'll try to take advantage of that and get more meat in. So Thomas Dale says, I've got some oatcakes in the freezer. I should eat them. I haven't decided what to have with them. I like to fry them and then have some nice bacon with them, especially organic bacon, because organic bacon is a bit like the old sort of bacon we used to get. And then that's very nice. Maybe some baked beans with that. Or some cheese, or just eat them cold. I wouldn't recommend you eat them frozen though. And I do like the good old oat cake. It makes you think how old the oat cake is. I won't mind getting some when I'm in Derby next, because there's a guy there who makes lovely oat cakes in the market hall. In fact, we walked past it today, Thomas. Oh, could have got some oat cakes. Never mind. Yeah, that's something we don't think about, you know, the poverty in the back in the day. If you was poor, you really was poor. And we take wealth and money for granted these days. We're so rich compared to the Dark Ages, but we also lost a lot of wealth in this talent and the stories and all of that. So in many ways we're richer, but in many ways we're much poorer. So any more comments? Keep leaving your comments. And 5 people watching. Who are the other people? Please say hello. We'd love to hear from you if you're watching this. Don't be shy. I used to be shy before I started doing YouTube, and now I can't stop talking. That's what YouTube does. It just makes you talk a lot, like your own voice. There's Martin Belfast. Love Sharp, over the hills and far away. Here's 40 shillings on my drum for those that volunteer to come. Oh yeah, I've sung that a few times around campfires. I won't sing anymore in case it's copyrighted. But yeah, great series. I thoroughly enjoyed that series, and I often watch it most years. There's just little bits in it which are just great for learning about drilling. When I used to be a sergeant in the Medical War Society, so I used to get lots of little bits of information and bits of tips of how to drill men and get them to, you know, to work for you and be good. Now we have a comment here from Thomas Dale. Bernard Cornwall has had a couple of Viking books out, doesn't he? I've not really looked into them. I know he's got the American Civil War series. I've not really generally read kind of fictional books set in the Dark Ages. I've been more heavily reading more authentic books. So it's not something I really read. I never read the Sharp series. I wouldn't mind reading it one day. I do have 1 or 2 of the books. I like the guy who wrote Gettysburg. I can't remember his Shaler, but I've got quite a few of his books. Yes, well, Thomas Dale says, will I have to have an oatcake feast on camera or something? Yes, I keep thinking about this video I talked about some time ago, which is the eating bread and cheese video, where I'm going to go and find an authentic looking rounded loaf and then buy some authentic cheese, and then me and Egil can just sit down and eat it and talk to you. I don't know how you guys would think to that. It's kind of rude to eat on camera to a degree, but then if we don't talk about food and so forth, then we're not going to talk about it. We have more freedom of movement. So there's a comment there from Martin Belfast. He says, we have more freedom of movement. And yes, that's true. You can jump on a plane and be in America in the morning. You couldn't do that back in the day. And would you really want to go on a long ship and travel the vast oceans to Iceland? It's a daring thing to do. The sense of adventure, I think I would have found that interesting back in the day. But it's amazing how many people wouldn't have travelled that far. You know, there would have been people who would have lived in Northworthy and pretty much stayed in Northworthy. Might have known a few miles around. So we do take travelling for granted, and we are lucky to have so much freedom that we can travel. I hate to live in a society where we couldn't. So Martin Belfast says, so I have got the books on the DVDs, and I assume that's sharp. Oh yeah, I got the DVDs and the VHSs. I've got a couple of the books as well, the kit guide they did. It's all fascinating stuff. And it's a shame a lot of these bigger societies aren't as big as they used to be. I mean, the Pioneer Society used to be massive in the UK. The same with the Seal Knot, that used to be massive, but I keep hearing these days that it's a lot smaller. But that's the shape of modern reenactment, but we have to adapt. So Thomas Dale, I don't think Over the Hills and Far Away is copyrighted. I'll have to check. I was led to believe that it was an original Georgian folk song. It's a very old song. It goes back certainly to the 17th century. So it's probably one of those songs that could even go back to the English Civil War. It's a bit like the song The Recruiting Sergeant of Upchester. That's another great song, that, from the English Civil War. I've sung that many a time around a campfire. And if we ever do a later period channel, me and Egil have talked about it, doing a 19th century one. I don't know what I'll be dressed as, but Egil has a couple of impressions for that period. Then I might sing some songs to you. There's one of the guys from Sharp. It might be the sergeant who still carries on and does the hobby and goes to a lot of these reenactment events in his kit. But it might be the guy with the glasses and the curly hair. So I forget now who it was. But I know one of them from the TV series basically goes around, hangs around the reenactors. Another friend of mine who's a trader hangs about with the Hello people who started in Hello, as he knows Hairflick very well. In fact, he has Hairflick jacket, I believe, which is cool. I love Hello, another cool series. Now, we have some more comments here. Martin Belfast. There are two songs called Over the Hills and Far Away. The two are very good, also very long as well. And Thomas Dale says, I'll have to try and find both versions. Now, a band I like, this is a historical band, is the 97th Regimental String Band. And they're a American band from the American Civil War. And they have some fantastic songs on YouTube. One of my favourite albums is the Shanty Irish album they did. So I highly recommend the 97th Regimental String Band. I know it's a little bit later for the Viking era. But I just love that marching music. There's nothing like the sound of a fife in the morning on camp and the sound of a drummer. And then the bugles go off and you know it's time to get up and start doing things and organising your men for the battle. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience is reenacting. And I do highly recommend it to any folk to have a go. So, keep leaving your comments. My back's aching a bit today. You forget how heavy this clothing is after a while. I mean, it is thick wool and it is quite heavy. This is my original tunic I had. I think I had this when I was about in 1999. When I first joined the group, I got lent some kit and then the group leader, Lynn, organised for some kit to be made. So this was the first tunic I had. It's done me well. I wouldn't mind getting some tablet weave for it. Yeah, Hagman, that's his name, not Hangman. It's a great series. I really would love to see a Dark Age series a bit like it. Not so serious as The Last Kingdom. Oh, that's very nice, that. And one of the things about these mugs is I keep having to put it in water. This is a Stave cup. A friend of mine brought me. And if you don't keep it in water, what can happen? It can dry and then the staves can start splitting. So I keep having to leave it in water. I don't know if they take some time to settle down. I've never had a Stave cup before, so it's a very new experience for me. Oh yeah, Tams, yeah. It's a great folk singer. I think I met him once. Another guy we used to often meet in Derby when I used to go clubbing was a guy called Roy Wood. He used to often be in the pub scene. Yeah, John Tam. So a commentator from Thomas Dale. That is John Tam, wasn't it? I was struggling to remember his real name. And he's been quite prolific as a folk singer over the years, and he does have quite a few albums. I'm not sure whether he's got a YouTube channel. He'll do really well on YouTube. A lot of people say I sound like him when I'm singing, probably because we're from the same area. I was always the one at camp to be pushed forward to sing. I just know all the songs. So another comment here from Thomas Dale. Hello Hello seems to be popular everywhere, particularly in France, mainly because it makes fun of everyone equally. Yes, I think that's one of the beautiful things about Hello Hello. It's just like Dad's Army. It's just one of those series which you're never going to forget, and you never really get bored of watching. And you know, you watch Dad's Army, and you've seen the episode 100 times, but you still laugh because it's still very funny. It always amazes me that some people don't like Dad's Army. But where would we be without programs like Dad's Army and Hello Hello? We'd be a lot poorer off. And often when I watch videos, I'm always, from a point of view of editing and directing, always thinking, well, how did they do that shot? How did they do this? How did they edit that together? I don't know, it's just me. It's just when you start making content, you just see everything as a director from that point of view of editing the video. Although soon you're going to see a video, and this is the first on the channel where I've very highly and heavily edited the video. So I will be a little bit breaky at times where I won't be matching my previous body movement. I did think about recording the video again, but I'm going to not do it. I'm going to publish it in a few weeks, and that's the video to the Newark talk I made a video on. There's a lot of these fines and holds that need talking about, you know. It always amazes me how many people haven't heard about the Staffordshire Horde, you know. How can you not hear about that? It's awesome, awe-inspiring. Makes me want to have a nice workshop and have a go at making something. I'd love to have a go at enamelling at one stage in my life and try to enamel some nice brooches for this period. So keep leaving your comments, I'll keep talking. At some point I'm going to try to get probably Thomas Dale to come on and join me on the live stream, so you'll see him in some Viking kit. So, and I got this idea of having kind of a folktale themed Friday live stream every week. Just now and again I'll miss some to have a rest, because you can't live stream every week without burning out at some point, because burnout on YouTube is very risky. You know, you can just do too much, and before you know it, you need a rest for a while. Here's a comment here from Thomas Dale. People don't like Dad's Army. Shock horror. I know. You know, don't panic. They don't like it up 'em. Stupid boy. But all those lines we know them off by heart, don't we? You know, how many times have we been in a conversation and you said don't panic, or you said stupid boy? We've all done it, or at least I'd hope so. So Martin Belfast says Nightwish sings the other Over the Hill and Far Away song. Oh right, I've not listened to Nightwish for years. Oh, I'll have to listen to that after this live stream ends. You might find some videos of me singing somewhere on YouTube. You never know. I probably have been recorded. I'm pretty good on harmonica, so I played the rhythm bones back in the later period of history. But I've been having a break from the 19th century. Although I might go back next year and rejoin, because I've not been out and shot any Confederates for a while. So they'll be missing me. The society won't be the same without me. And Thomas Dale says in a comment, oh cool, I'll have to look out for that. I didn't know they did a version. Oh yeah, I didn't know that either. So that's two of us didn't know. And we have 5 people watching. Hello, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you're new. At the moment I'm streaming through YouTube, but I am going to try next time to stream through an app called Streamlabs, which will give me some more options with the chats and what I can do on the screen as well. So you have to bear with me with that. I'm going to have a go soon. Ah, look, Celtic God. Ah, was hail, Celtic God. It's great to see you here. Let me just read a couple of comments. Martin Belfast says, it's a completely different song, but you just called the same as John Tams. Yeah, I'm definitely want to watch that now. And then Celtic God says, what did I tell you about streaming whilst I was at work? Tanota, that's what, laughed out loud. I'm very sorry, Celtic God. Yes, one day I'll stay up extra late for you and do like a 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock live stream on a Friday and see you can't catch us then. But it's always great to see you on the channel, Celtic. And I thoroughly enjoyed you sharing my videos in your video the other day and listen to what folks said. So if you want to play any more content on your channel, please do so in your live streams. It's all good for me and it's good for you, and I do appreciate it. So Njal Sigmundsson says hi, Colt, and Martin Belfast says, what's your name? Don't tell him, Pike. Oh yeah, that's a classic line, isn't it? I mean, that's such a classic episode of Dad's Army, that. And then Thomas Dale says, you'll have to give us your work times, Celtic God. And Celtic God left this comment, I'm 6 hours ahead of you, and thanks, good man. Oh, you're always welcome. You're welcome. Razael, get some beer down this weekend. Oh yes. And Thomas Dale says, cool. And I do have some exciting news, as we have a new camera. I went out today and bought a new camera, so once I figure out how to use it, I'm most probably going to use it for the shorter videos, because I think it's going to be too powerful and the file size will just be too massive for some of the longer videos. So just have to bear with me that whilst I get used to it. So some more comments here. Thomas Dell, yes, we also met Cladplanha, who was from your channel. He was an interesting guy. Yes, we've had 1 or 2 subscribers from your channel, Celtic God, come over, so that's very kind of you. And we are extremely excited and grateful, so thank you. I can't praise you enough, you know. May the gods look down at you this weekend and bring you lots of ale and wisdom. Now, Celtic God says, oh yes, he was very excited about the folk tale. Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed what they thought about him, and it's really nice to get that kind of feedback, because it's not something I often hear in many essence of people watching them live and getting the feedback. I mean, I don't even get feedback from my own family about him. Families, eh? But we do have lots more planned to tell. I'm a little bit concerned about Article 13 coming in from the EU, so I will be making a video about Article 13 and stating how disgusting it is that it's threatening copyrighted material, even though none of our material is really copyrighted. So I hope it don't affect the channel if it does come in, and I hope somehow we get to throw this big Article 13 out. And Article 13, the meme article, I mean, fancy trying to ban the meme. What are you doing, the EU? It kind of makes me glad I'm leaving. So some more comments here. So Thomas Dale says, cool, it'll be interesting to hear from him again. Oh yeah. And then Celtic God says in a comment, many are so hungry for more than pure scholarly history. Yeah, and I hope on this channel we can kind of fulfill that without being too scholarly. But I like this laid-back approach on the channel, where we're not just going to lecture at you a load of facts. We're going to talk to you like a human being and treat you like a brother or a sister. And you're just a part of the family, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to get this content out, and there's so much content we can do on this channel. It's going to be never-ending, you know. I'll die first before I finish. But what a legacy. It's partly why I'm doing it with a legacy, because I often think to myself, well, what have I done in life? So one of the reasons why I'm doing this is to have that legacy, but the fact that there isn't these folk tales out there, and although there's probably more content on the Viking sagas, It's something we really need to amend, because if we're not careful, we're going to forget all these folk tales, and they'll just end up with some dusty books, never to be read again. So I hope to correct that by telling all these folk tales. Yeah, so Martin Belfer says, I'm up for working 6 hours. Yes, that's quite early. I'll be in bed playing most of the morning, catching up on my sleep. I've got a night off tonight with a carer in, but tomorrow night I'll be looking after my dad again, so it means I have to constantly get up to take him to the toilet 5 or 6 times a night, or sometimes it can be 10 times a night. But you've got to do what you got to do. You know, your parents are very important to you. It often makes me think how in the Viking times we would have looked after our parents probably better than what we did today. So let's read some more comments. So Thomas Dale, no, let's go back a bit further. Celtic God says, Article 13 sounds very bad. It does. And it's something we all need to be very wary of, because suddenly overnight a lot of content could just disappear off of YouTube. Because what's fundamentally happening is now, from me being responsible for the copyright content on the channel, not that we have any, it's going to be put onto the hands of YouTube. So YouTube and other channels like Facebook are getting very nervous about this. So it's why we needed to make videos about it and start talking about it, and then people start protesting and saying, well, this is not right, enough is enough, we're not having this stupid Article 13, you know. But you're not going to happen. You're going to get copyright cowboys who will just claim your content copyright even though you haven't got one. And then you end up in this massive copyright debacle over something that's not even copyrighted. So, but I will do a longer video on that, because I think it's got to be done and we've got to talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, then it's going to come in and it'll be too late to do anything about it. And this is why you're starting to see now lots of videos on Article 13 on YouTube. I see lots of videos from Germany about it. The Germans are not happy, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't be very happy if I lived in Europe and the thought of content disappearing. So let's read some more comments. Thomas Dale says, more accessible knowledge is needed more. It feels underestimated sometimes. Yeah, it does. I mean, when I've started looking at, you know, folk tales online, all I kept finding was either people talking on camera but not showing the face or showing images, or on the other hand you had all these cartoons. Now, I'm not a kid, I'm not a child, I don't want to watch a folk tale to a cartoon. I want to watch a cartoon I want to watch. So this is why we started doing it just as Vikings, because it made sense. This is what happened back in the day 1,000 years ago. People like myself would have travelled and would have told these tales, and I would have met other folk tale tellers, other Scots and other Scolds, and then you would have swapped your tales. You would have learnt a new one from your mate Olaf, and Olaf would have learnt one from you, and then collectively Olaf would have travelled north and I would travel south, and these folk tales would travel. But also some of these, no doubt some of these tellers of tales, some of these Scots and Scolds would have also probably travelled further abroad. So it's a very interesting subject alone, you know. So let's go back to some more questions. Thomas Dale, I hope you get some decent sleep, Martin. Yes, I do too, and I hope I get some decent sleep tonight. And Celtic God says, have you considered doing videos about sewing and tailoring, etc.? Yes, I have. And the idea is we'll have a video where beforehand I can put on a pattern for this hat online. Then you can go and buy some wool, cut out the pattern, and then together, collectively, I'll sew the hat on the camera, and then you could sew with me. And I'll teach you the different stitches and how we do it. The thing about sewing is, if you're not very good at sewing, then you just got to have a go and get on with it. And your first patch or your first bit of kit or your first cloak isn't going to be so good. But then you'll decide to remake that cloak or make a new one, and then gradually over time, because you're learning a skill, you'll get better. And if I could teach you, Celtic God, to sew on camera, I will do. I'll take that as a mission in itself, to teach you to sew. Because people need to sew. It's one of the most important things as a reenactor we can learn, the ability to sew and repair kit. Now let's just go back to some of the comments before they disappear. Thomas Dale says, I need to look more into Article 13 but it does look dodgy. Yes, I agree. And Celtic God says in a comment, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm 6 hours behind. It's 6:50 ATM. Oh, right. Yes, and Thomas Dale says it's 11:50 PM here. Indeed it is. Soon be midnight if it's not midnight right now. And then Martin Belfast in a comment says these words: Viking question, is York worth going to? Thinking of going in a few months. It's definitely worth going for the experience. And it's definitely worth going for the traders. You've all found a lot of Eastern European traders there, selling some very fine silverware from the Viking times. So for that alone, it's worth going on the experience. It's worth gaining kit and walking around the walls of York. That alone is an experience. So yes, definitely worth going. And if you do go to York, look for a Samuel Smith pub, because a pint of beer in there is £2 compared to anywhere else. It'll be £4 or £5 in York. So, and perhaps we'll get Egil to do a video guide to York, as he spent many years there at university studying his archaeology. So yeah, definitely go. I've not been for some years. I like to go. If I can get away, I would do. So, and Thomas Dale says in a comment, there's the huge Jorvik Museum at York. It's also a very old town in itself and should be worth spending time having a look around itself. I think the Jorvik Museum is a day trip in itself. And I think they used to let people in kit. If you go as a Viking, you used to better get him free. However that's changed, I don't know. So don't take me on that. But it'd be nice if you did get him free, if you dressed as a Viking. And that always reminded me of a story about the money. They used to make money, sold to people. And one time, he was making some money and a coin in the die flew out and embedded in his leg. And that kind of led to the discovery that when you're making coins, you need an iron collar around it to stop that from happening. And I thought that to be very interesting itself. It's not something I've ever made, a coin die, but I wouldn't mind having a go one day. So I could probably make one. Of course, you have to slightly make them different so you're not actually breaking any laws, because you're reproducing coin to a degree. So let's just read the next comment from Celtic God. Time, yes, would be the best way to teach by video, I think. Yeah, I think it would be. And I can say quite fast, so I would slow it down for you and talk in between. And Martin Belfast says in a comment, did you ever see the Viking poo in real life? I think I did, and I'm fairly certain Egil has handled it, or handled some anyway, during digging that Coppergate. And that alone is a very interesting subject, because there's so much research and evidence to be found in poo back from the day. You know, it's not something we often think about, and there's no doubt people out there and professors who study that alone, no doubt very excited by it. Now a comment here from Thomas Dale, live streams are good for lessons. I think there's a Polish science teacher that started doing his university lectures on YouTube. Oh, that's very cool. It's such a great way to teach people. Certainly a lot of colleges and universities will use YouTube videos to teach, so I see why not. And who knows, you know, this content could be used one day to teach. And Thomas Dale says in a comment, there may be some Viking poo at the Jorvik, but there's the tour of the recreated village, and there's a guy in the outhouse, and they pump the smoke through. Yes, it is very smelly, and it does make you think, in a early medieval town, it would not have been a very nice and pleasant place to visit. We take the streets we live on and so clean these days, but yeah, they are quite mucky with litter. But at least you're not having to walk down a street where there's floating poos and everything else going on. Let alone talking about the messiness and the smell from leather dyeing. So let's carry on to another comment from Thomas Dale. I would like to have a cloak of my own. That would be cool. Yes, they're not very difficult to make. Now one thing I often think about cloaks is I'm going to make one day, and I'm going to put an extra layer of felt in the inside. But I like the idea of doing this to make it extra thicker, because felt was around, it was a material that was readily available to a degree. So why would you not put a third layer inside your cloak to give you that extra warmth? Although it would be a very warm and thick cloak for winter. So, in fact, my first cloak's on the floor, the red one I made. I'm thinking about doing some embroidery soon. And that got me to thinking, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Let's just read some more of these comments. I could do with learning to sew better. I have some stuff that needs repairing. It would be nice to make a repair some of it by myself. Yes, that's a comment from Thomas Dale. Well, I'm more than happy to teach you to sew in real life, Thomas. I'm more happy to spread these skills, because if we don't spread these skills about, we will lose them. And Celtic God says in a comment, okay lads, lunch is over, back to work. Well, work hard, and I hope you finish soon, so you can get back home to your homestead. And Thomas Dale in a comment says, Egil studied archaeology at York. Yes, he did. Yes. So that was many, many years ago when he had more hair in his head. And a comment here from Martin Belfast. I better go. I need sleep. Good night. Sorry I can't stay longer. No, that's all right. You stay long enough. It's great to see you. And thank you for your great comments again, Martin. I'll always appreciate them. And you have a good night's sleep, my friend. Was hail. Oh, that's my alarm going off for midnight. Now, a comment here from Thomas Dale. He says, nice to see you again. I hope work goes all right. It would be nice to speak again. And nighty night, Martin. I hope you get a good night's sleep and get to work all right. Yes, safe travelling on the roads in the morning. And we have 6 people watching, which is great. I think I don't think it's the most people had in the live stream. I can't remember the most. But it's always great to see so many people here, you know. Great that you want to come and hang out with me, a random Viking. Living in the modern world. If I had a time machine, I would go back. I would be very wealthy. Although somehow I don't think I'd hold on to it for long. The Vikings were very clever. And so were the Saxons. So any more comments? Keep them rolling in. I do like to read your comments. It's a very hard bench I'm sitting on. It makes you think they must have had cushions back in the day, because you wouldn't like to sit on a bench all day, would you? And there's 4 watching. And we've got 3 lights. I didn't see the 3 lights. That's always good. So, what can we talk about? What's going to be published soon? I don't know. Let's have a think. There's quite a few bits of content ready to be premiered. I did notice the other day that we had a couple of dislikes on the review videos of trailers. Although a dislike, it should never be seen on YouTube as a bad thing. Because after all, what YouTube wants is interaction. Whether that's dislikes or likes or comments. Now, something I wanted to talk about. Yes, I was just reading the comment here from Thomas Dale. Egil had more hair. Yes, he did. It was like all black and permy back in the day. Of course, I didn't know him then. I think I only met him in 1999. It'll be 20 years next year. We'll have to have a big party, celebrate knowing Egil for 20 years. Now, one thing I want to talk about is the channel category. Because currently we're down as entertainment. When I originally started the channel, we wasn't really making historical videos and educating people. So now I'm thinking, well, should we be actually under the education category rather than the education category? So if you could let me know what you think about that, I would love to know. And today I'm wearing, for very rare occasion, my white baggies. These are very, very nice linen from Ireland in the herringbone style. And this is like a rough Viking kit. They're actually very, very comfy to wear, and surprisingly very warm in winter and very cool in summer. And these aren't the richest pair I got. I got a pair with a lot of blue material in, like 56 inches of leg. And that's a lot of material on the leg. It kind of says I am a wealthy Viking to afford that much linen in my trousers. So we had a comment here from Thomas Dale. What places would you like to visit with your time machine? Well, I'd just like to go back and into the dark ages and just sneak into some of these massive halls and watch the banquets go on and listen to the storytellers, listen to the language and the words, watch the gestures. I think that would be awe-inspiring, and I think through doing that we would learn so much. But whether that will be ethical to go back in time, I don't know. So Njal Sigmundsson read a comment here from him. I read that Anglo-Saxons priests were allowed to get married. Was it easy to become a priest, and would it be a good career move? Well, it wouldn't be a good career move if you lived at Lindisfarne in 793. But it's a very interesting point. I think priests were allowed to get married. I'm fairly certain I've read that before. Oh look, it's Paul Farah. So, would it be a good career move? Well, it depends on the individual. If you learnt the ability to write and read, then that was a very, very good career move. And no doubt a priest living in a monastery would have a very good lifestyle. You'd certainly have better food. You'd have better access to being healed. And you'd probably have a longer life. So in many aspects it would have been. But it was also a kind of thing which you had to be the certain individual to want to be a priest. So it's something we're going to talk about further in a video at some point, because it's something we don't talk about often. So I'd like to read a comment here. This is from a very good friend of mine and a true pard. Only he will know what a pard is. And this is Paul Farah. Hey pard, I made a YouTube just to come and hang out. Well, Raz Hale is a very good friend of mine, is Paul, and I'm so happy that you know we got in contact again. You know, I often thought about where is Paul, what's he doing. He's one of my excellent troops from the American Civil War, and a brother of mine. So you know, you build up relationships in these societies, and your friends become your family. They really do. So. We have a comment here from Thomas Dale. I can well believe that Anglo-Saxon priests could marry. I wonder if that was the Celtic Christianity. It seems very interesting as it acknowledged paganism. Yes, to a degree it did. I think this is something that Egil could talk about more, and we'll no doubt cover it in a reading comments video when we go through these live streams. So another comment here from Thomas Dale. But no one knows much about it. No, but we are learning more and more. We're translating the manuscripts. We're working on the damaged manuscripts, and they're being worked on more and more, and we're getting more words out of them. So over time, we will know more about the Dark Ages. We shouldn't really call it the Dark Ages, but it's a term we often use to describe it. But if anything, we should really call it the Light Age. So. A comment here from Paul Farah. Indeed, it has been a long time, my friend. It's been too long. And the other day, I think in last Friday's live stream, I dedicated my trousers to you. Or was it in the comments reading video? No, it was in a comments reading video. That'll be number 4, I think. Not out yet. As I sometimes wear my red pants. Doesn't get away with it. They can't see this bit. It's good to get out your red leggings now and again. You never forget, do you? So, a comment here from Thomas Dale. Hello, Paul. It is nice to see you again. I'm glad you made it. Oh, indeed it is. Well, as soon as I leave the live stream later on, I'll make you into an admin on the channel, Paul. So, oh, you still have your Brooklyn trousers. Oh, I'm glad about that. That has made my day, that has. Because once a red leg, there's always a red leg. You know that. So some more comments here. I read Paul Fires. Nice to see you, Thomas. I try to come along and hang out as much as possible. Right, thank you very much. And Paul Fires says, like I said a minute ago, I still have my Brooklyn trousers. Cool. And kepi. Yes, still have my kepi. Because I don't think you ever saw my new jacket I made. I pretty much got a banging, working and accurate 14th jacket now. One day I will show you. We'll have a reunion. So to keep your comments coming in, we'll keep rolling on until the camera dies and the live stream goes with it. So Njal Kilder says, if you could meet one Anglo-Saxon figure, who would it be? Well, it'll probably be either... I think it would have to be either Alfred the Great or his daughter Athelflaed, because both of those characters are just such legends. And as a Viking, it takes a lot for me to say that I really like Alfred. He really was an inspiring individual. You know, and he's the man who fundamentally set aside and made England. Well, his grandson, Athelstan, did, but yeah, I think it'd have to be Alfred. I don't know, it makes you think. I was thinking about this the other day. If you could go back in time to the Dark Ages and change one point of history to change the Dark Ages, what would it be? Would you change the Lindisfarne raid by letting the Saxons know that they're going to be a raid? That could massively affect the Dark Ages. Or even, would you change 1066 and perhaps have the Saxons ally with the Vikings and kick the Normans out? That would dramatically change history. It's a very interesting video itself. I like the idea of that, talking about who would we like to meet. And it'd be very interesting to hear what Egil says and who would he like to meet. As he studied the Anglo-Saxons far more than I did at university. I'm just an amateur who likes to read about the subject. So Paul Farrer in a comment says, I'd love to see it, man. I know there's a Brooklyn jacket on the UK Civil War Sutler site, but it looks kind of cheap. P.S. I'll stop talking about something that isn't relevant. Yes, I have seen that jacket. Describing it as cheap is, well, it's cheap and nasty. It's an horrible jacket, it really is. And I don't know who on earth decided to get together such a terrible jacket. I mean, they could have spoke to me and I could have given them the correct information. But it was also a little bit late for them. Well, don't worry, I'll make you a 14th jacket, Paul. Don't worry about that. We'll get you one. You've got to have one in your cupboard. You've got the trousers. And I know it's not relevant, but me and Paul spent a long time in the American Civil War Society. This is where I met him, and I recruited Paul. It seems a long time ago now, doesn't it, Paul? When we first talked on Facebook, and then you first came to an event. Oh, you are loved. Well, I love all of my subs and people who leave comments and people who follow the channel. You know, we're one big happy family, or army, I like to describe as the army of Northworthy. Oh, we had 5 people watching then, but we're back to 4 again. One day we're going to have like 10 people watching. But I imagine one day we could have like 1,000 people watching. That'll happen. Once the channel will start getting bigger and increasing in size. So these are the beautiful days. We will always remember the live streams when the channel was small and there's only a handful of us. It's like the Fellowship of the Ring in many ways, apart from the Fellowship of the live stream. There's a story in that, Thomas. Indeed there is. And there will be... Have I got a video out tomorrow? I don't know. Oh, there's a video out on Friday. 2 videos out on Friday actually. There's a folk tale at 6 PM and then there's a 10 o'clock premiere as well. So Paul Farr in a comment says these words: I remember that first battle at Hull that I took part in. Something I'll always remember. It was a great event, Hull. I can always remember that weekend when Ian came down and kind of found a barrel of beer and a barrel of wine. Don't ask me how. That was a good weekend, that. Yes. I mean, reenactment's changed a lot. It's got too serious to a degree. People need to remember that at the end of the day, reenactment should be fun. And also remember that you're there to display for the public. Yes, it was a long time ago. I still talk to Virginia. She sometimes watches the content on the channel, Paul. Did you know that Mark Trembley's got married? So Mark's now married to a lovely Japanese lady. I've not heard nothing from Tomo for some while. He's still got my trousers he never paid for. Never mind. Yes, authenticity, you know, it should be fun, but it shouldn't be too serious. I mean, some of the regiments did take it too serious. And that, you know, it's one of the things in this period which authenticity is different. Oh, you're in contact with Tommy. Well, say hello for me. Wish him well, and his wife Sarah, and the kid. I can't remember the name of the kid. What's the child called? It'll come back to me later on when I'm not thinking about it. Those were good days. Oh, perhaps I was thinking about perhaps we could run some kind of YouTube channel for the ACWS. Record content online. Oh, I got some more news today, Paul. I bought a new camera today, so I decided to go out and buy a Panasonic Lumix G80, which is like one of the top range cameras for this kind of thing we're doing. So I'm looking forward to using it. I'm picking up my new lens on Friday. But it's the small ways I'm dedicating investment on this channel, because although the mobile phone we're using is great, and you know, it'll given to me to use by Anthony. Thanks, Anthony. It's done as well. Certainly a lot better than the Samsung S2 we started off with on the channel. But now we're going to progress to 4K. I'm actually dreading the file sizes we're going to have to edit. We're going to have to use a tool called, there's a tool you can use to get your videos and make them a lot smaller. So we're going to have to use that. So Paul Farley says, I'm going to make an American Civil War film at some point, like maybe an hour long or so, but it will be a long project alongside my Game of Thrones film. Yes, and I did speak to Egil about the Game of Thrones film the other day. He seems quite keen and interested in doing it, so it's just a matter of trying to liaise with you, meeting and do some filming. Yeah, whether you come up here and we'll do some filming, and then you can take the video footage and use it in your film. I'm pretty sure Thomas will be up for working on that. I hooked up my mouse and moved away from the screen. Come back screen. No, don't go away. I've got to go back to the live stream. Wait a minute. I hate it when you do that, when you back out. There we go. Well, I could have had a look then how many subs we've got. I think we had 3 more subs today. This is cool. We keep gaining and losing subs, but I think that's often the way with YouTube. But hopefully when we get a new banner made, which is something Thomas is working on for me, for a friend of his, we'll look a little bit more professional. Yeah, what I was thinking about the ACW is getting a YouTube channel for them, or making short content for them. Because one of the problems with thinking about doing a Make 'em Civil War content channel is, well, how are you going to make content every week? Because you want, you know, a channel has to be weekly content, the most minimal. So you're going to have to go on camp and do a lot of filming. Although I could film my garden and my kit, but I don't think I'd do it in my Brooklyn kit, because I kind of think that's disrespectful. Is it me? I don't know. I think I just dress as a normal Union troop if I ever did something like that. And not my Brooklyn kit. But I don't know. I wouldn't want to upset any of my Brooklyn family in America or Germany or Australia or down south, where there's 2 of them wanting to do it. You know, if we probably looked up the history of the 14th, we could probably find a man who could probably date his family back to the Dark Ages. There's a connection. Oh, I'm running out of ale. What a shock. I'm missing my mugging, my mucket. I've not used that for ages. It's the kind of little tin you use on the Civil War to cut your food in. Well, no, it wasn't a Saxon S2, it was a Samsung S2 camera. Somebody should do that now, make a camera called the Saxon. And have another one called the Viking. Yeah, I'll do a Confed impression. There's a comment there from Paul Farrer. Yeah. It makes sense. Well, as I get closer to the next year, and I'm seriously going to think about joining up and sending my membership in. If you get a gun license, Paul, I'll give you one of my muskets. Yeah, there you go. Because I've got too many of them. You can have the two-bander. You look after it for me. But get yourself a license, lad. Now, anything else you want to talk about? Any more comments about Vikings? About what kit we're wearing? I've got a nice axe somewhere. There we go. I like this axe because it's very good for hooking the shield. And very good in combat. In fact, you can also hook the spear shaft. Which, give me a minute. So when you're in battle, I can hook the spear shaft and I can just kind of hook it and then I can drag it down and open it up for the next man. We've got all the mod cons around here. Spears, axes, shields. What more do you want? And this is a blunt axe. Can't hurt myself on it. At some point we're going to do some training. So we're going to demonstrate how we train. And we're going to talk about the hit areas and where we're allowed to hit people. And we're also going to talk about how we check the blades. So one thing we'll do is we'll get the blade of a scram. This one's slightly rusty, needs cleaning, and we'll check with your finger. Now there's a bit of a notch, so that will need filing down. And this is something that always happens before the battle, Paul, so that we know that our weapons are safe. So that if I come up to you and kill you with my knife and my spear, then you know you're going to be all right. But I can always remember in the American Civil War Society there was a Confederate who always carried a knife. It was a combat knife. And the amount of times he killed me in battle always made me smile. Oh, a comment here from Paul Farrer. Oh, I nearly forgot. I'll have to bring my metal detector up your way and see what local history is up your way. Well, I do know some prime land where I might be able to get permission, where there definitely has been Anglo-Saxon and Viking history, as well as Roman. So we can get permission from the landlord, we can go and have a play. Hey, you might be lucky and dig up a massive Anglo-Saxon horde. Oh, I'd have a heart attack if I did that. It would just be too much for me to cope with finding an Anglo-Saxon horde. So let's read some more comments, which is why we're here. Thomas Dale said these words in a comment: I am free to help with the Game of Thrones film. Oh, that's great to know. And Thomas Dale says the banner should hopefully be done by the end of the week. I'll keep you posted on how that goes. Yes, I don't know. Banners are so difficult to make on YouTube, and there's just no free tools anywhere. So I'd be really looking forward to getting a new decent banner, better than one I made. It's done its job, but it's just what it was. Now, a comment here from Paul, Thomas Dale. I'm getting tired. I've had a long day. Paul, there are some Viking finds in Bragi's garden. Coincidentally, it is where he wants a new patio so he can make the holes to suit. Cheeky grin. Oh yeah. That's one way to get your patio dug up. But it makes you think about all these reenactment sites, especially Dark Age sites. How many lost Thor's hammers and how many Dark Age coins have been lost, and how many bracelets and brooches, because I imagine there'll be a lot of them. So if you could ever find a list of places where reenactments have taken place, you're onto a winner, because you're gonna find stuff at old reenactment sites. You know, you probably find scrams and all sorts. Now let's have a look at some more of the comments. It's a comment here from Thomas Dale. Oh, cool, on the fighting techniques. Will there be a backsword? No, the backsword of Ultimate Doom will not make an appearance. Unless it's a video about the backsword. And Paul Farrer in a comment said these words, that would be epic. And another comment, Paul Farrer says, my fiance is an illustrator. If you want any arty stuff done, Pard, well, that's very good to know. So, I'm that kind of stuff I'm no good at. I could tell you a folk tale, I could talk about history, I could go 2 hours on a live stream and talk, but I couldn't really make you a decent banner or anything arty on the computer. I'll probably struggle to make a smiley face. So there you go. But I can't edit a mean video. And I'm especially looking forward to editing my new batch of videos with the new camera. Oh, I can't wait for that. Now, if I can figure out how to use it to live stream, I will do. But that's another complicated issue and thing to figure out. I'm expecting I need to use OBS Studio and do it through that, but you'd have to bear with me. So what we're like for time? Because I think around about 1 o'clock, that will estimate to be anywhere between 10 to 1 and 1 o'clock is when the live stream will die and also suddenly disappear. So if you suddenly see me 1 minute and I'm not there the next minute, you know the live stream's died and my camera's dead. Now, we have a comment here from Paul Farrer. Did I ever show you the Viking sword, what was left of it, that my uncle found metal detecting? I probably did some time ago. Yeah, I think you did. I can't recall that story you told me. It makes you think how much stuff is out there to be found. There must be lots of more hoards out there and lots more Anglo-Saxon treasures to be found. Let alone gold torques. Oh, imagine finding one of them in a field. And we have some Viking swords there. Here's a combat sword. And this is what I was talking about with the scabbard. I have in 2 loops. So both of these are loops. And then basically you get a buckle at the end. And then it hangs this kind of direction, a bit like a samurai. And I really do like that style of sword hanging. Although you do have a bone bit of, you know, so I could hang it from a bolt, a small locator there as well. And I believe this is a Benzie blade. It's quite a light blade. I don't like using this one, especially with that little nick at the end, but it is a very nice blade. I've got lots of swords. You just pick them up. So let's have a look. A comment here from Paul Farrer. The best thing I found is a couple of Roman brooches. Oh, that's very cool. You know, an Anglo-Saxon, if they would have found a Roman brooch, then they would have certainly used it. And I think that's been well known and collected in grave finds of Saxons being buried with Roman stuff. But it would have been knocked about. You know, if you was living near a Roman town and you was digging a plot of land, put some onions in, then you might have dug up all sorts. Not licorice all sorts, there's all kinds of things. And Thomas Dale says, cool. Yes, I've never really done any metal detecting. It's something I want to do a lot. I see that Digger Dan's given up metal detecting to go magnet fishing. Have you ever done that, Paul? It's very interesting, magnet fishing. And Paul Farrer says, I want a sword, a proper one, and not a prop one that I have. Oh yeah, you can't beat a decent sword. I've got more around there. I'm sitting on a chest full of swords and axes. You've got to keep them somewhere safe. You know, I keep looking on eBay for them. That was an eBay buy about 10 years ago. I think I paid 90 quid for that. It's really cheap. I mean, considering that these cost £25 each, these mountains, which is your bottom shape and your top shape, as you call them. And that's a wooden scabbard, so that would be classed as a scabbard and not a sheath. And I think most people get that mistake of calling a scabbard a sheath when it's not a scabbard. And Thomas Dale says, I was just thinking that I want a scram sax. Well, I actually got a scram sax here. I've got to make up. Where is it? Give me a second. Yeah, there we go. I found that the other day. There's another scram sax I made by 10 years ago. And I've got a bit of a handle. I'm thinking about either putting a nice antler handle on there with a nice ball at the end, or I'm thinking about putting this kind of Norwegian handle on, but I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna have to saw that in half if I do, so I'm contemplating that. But that's just been cut out on a laser machine and so it's about 30 seconds to do, but it was very rusty, so I'm slowly cleaning it up to get it nice and shiny again. You can spend all day cleaning up Dark Age kit. And that's just been done on a laser machine. So, you know, if you had some money and you had some AM45 plate, you could probably get yourself 30 sword and 20 scram saxes cut out in an hour on a laser machine. And then you just have to slowly grind them to shape and put a fluor in and treat the blade with heat. So we have a comment here from Paul Farrer. To be honest, watching this stream makes me want to get into these period of reenacting. Well, we're more than welcome to have you on the channel, Paul, as a host. You know, I've already said that to you, and hoping that we're going to get Thomas on the channel at some point. But we do need more hosts, and it's just not about, this channel is not about me. This channel is going to be far bigger than just me, you know. Anybody who comes along on the journey, I often describe it as a longboat journey. We're about to go raiding somewhere very nice. And at the beginning, when we first had the channel, we were thinking about it. Then the channel started, we started making content. We were kind of getting the baggage ready to put on the longboat. And then Egil came along, was at the stage of putting the baggage and the food in the longboat. But now at the stage, we're in the longboat and we're about to start sailing. And we're going to go on this fantastic journey. So I'm more than happy to take people along with me, because this is what YouTube is about. YouTube isn't about individuals or about competition. It's about sharing your knowledge and making friends and networking. And people forget that. You know, you shouldn't see other channels as a competition. You just see them as a network and somebody to talk to. So we have a comment here from Njal Sigmundsson. I'm getting too tired. I'm going to have to drop out. I'm glad to find your channel, and I will be back for future videos. Good night. Well, good night, Njal. And you have a good night's sleep, my friend. Don't let the Vikings bite, as my father would say. And a comment here from Paul. He says, good night, friend. And Thomas Dale, in a comment, he says, good night, Njal Sigmundsson. It was great to meet you, and I hope to hear from you soon. Yes, you're not alone on this channel. We're just one big happy family of crazy Vikings and Saxons and Celts too. Really. Anything Iron Age, or I love that as well. I'd love to do some more Iron Age reenacting. It's a great period to reenact as well. And if you come up, Paul, I'll teach you to do some proper sword fighting. I think it'd be a good idea for a video, having somebody who's never done any Dark Age combat teach them how to do it. I think that'd be very good. So you keep your comments coming. I'll find my ale. It's only shandy. It's what you call a small beer, a weak beer. The kind of beer you drink every day to keep yourself thirsty and free from disease from the water. So, you know, it's always amazed me as a child in the Viking age, you'd be drinking this all day. What a life. We was all born in the wrong era. Do you ever see anything called Duncan, Paul? I don't know if Duncan knows about the channel or seen much. I don't really hear much from people on Facebook. Although most of my friends are from the American Civil War, so they're probably not interested in the Dark Ages. But they should be. It's their history and it's their heritage. And if we don't talk about this, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose this heritage. We're going to lose these folk tales. We're going to lose the stories of the Vikings and the Saxons. And I don't think we can afford that to happen. And a comment here from Thomas Dale. Good night, Joel Calderth. It was great to meet you. I hope to hear from you soon. I think I read that one earlier. I'm forgetting what I read now. So Paul Farrer says, added him as a friend, but haven't really spoken to him, to be honest. No, I've not really spoken to him for a long time. It's a shame, really. But, you know, people move on. But we had some good times. I think I did tell the story, was it in a vlog, or was it in a live stream, or a comments video, where we talked about that occasion when we was at that Living History village, when we were singing Bohemian Rhapsody. Do you remember, Paul? And we were sitting on the bench, which I use on camera here, and we all fell off it, and we still continued singing and drinking. I'll never forget that one. Because you had that on camera, didn't you? Good days. But it's a lot of people have left the society since we've been in it. You still have that video, because I don't think I've ever seen that video. At least I may have saw it on camp, but I don't think I've ever seen it. You need to upload it to your channel. Well, send it to me, I'll edit it. I could quickly put it into a vlog as a bonus video. Oh look, Bragi falling off a bench. It was a great weekend, that. Well, they all were, weren't they, really? So Thomas Dale says, we'll speak more soon, Paul. You're a very interesting guy. He is. Very interesting guy. And Paul Farrer says, dude, I still have that video. And then Paul Farrer, in a comment, says this. I was watching it the other day. And then Paul Farrer said, hilarious isn't the correct word. Yes. We may not be yeah, we're going to do this video soon of me and Egil dancing. Although I got this idea of doing a tribute to Napoleon Dynamite. If I could learn the dance and I have Egil doing like the speech, that would be very, very funny. Sort of like a tribute to the film. Some days you got to try something different on YouTube. I can't remember all of the good times we've had on camp over the years, from the 90s to the early 2000s. It's too many. I wish I had a camera back in those days and took more pictures, really. I mean, certainly when we was doing it, we got a lot of pictures, and they're going to be there forever. But certainly in the 1990s, but I didn't always take a camera, and I do regret that. So if you do go reenacting, take a camera and take plenty of pictures. Just make sure you're doing it authentically and not being seen on camp taking pictures. Also, I sometimes wear my Union Blue trousers on camera, but people won't know I'm wearing them. But some days it's just nice to wear something that's got pockets. It makes you think, why didn't the Vikings put pockets in the trousers? You know, these have got pockets on the inside, and you can get like 3 bottles of wine in. So a comment here from Paul Farrer. Best battle I took part in was at Castle Blitham battle, where we were ordered to march through the musket smoke after the volley, and that brief moment it kind of felt real, if that makes sense. Yeah, was that the battle I made the Lady Vicar cry with my death scene? I think it might have been. That was a really good event, wasn't it? The camping ground wasn't very big, if I recall. Yeah, I think it was. I forgot all about Castle Blitham. And can you remember that one we had that very stormy night and we was all in the big tent, all singing till about 2 in the morning? Well, that's another good memory. I've still got the tents. We're starting getting tent jokes now. It's too intense. Tenting tonight on the old campground. Well, any more comments? Keep them rolling in. I'll just keep talking. I've not lost the ability to talk yet today. Some days when you're on live stream, you just let the way it goes, and you kind of lose the ability to speak normal. I don't know why. It's probably overtiredness on my part. A long pause of silence. I'll often incorporate them in the folk tales. Perhaps I could end this live stream by telling you a folk tale. But which one? I know so many. Yes, well, that's one thing you've got to be careful about, not talking random rubbish, which is always great to read the comments, because generally from the comments you'll get some direction of what to talk about. So, although this isn't really a thing, live stream, it's just a hangout, just to get the chance to sit down and just talk like normal people. This is what a lot of times you don't get on YouTube, you know. It'll be a very organised live stream by somebody, and it's very specific. But certainly it's a lot easier to live stream with two of you, because then you can bounce off each other. And you know, if Egil is there, he'll know more than what I didn't do, and I'll know more about subjects that he doesn't know about. So that does make it a lot easier. And especially with this era of history, you know, some of the subjects we talk about are quite daunting. So one of the reasons why I've not done live streams on my own is because, you know, if I get asked a question I don't know, from my point of view, that's quite unprofessional. I could know that question, that answer. But I generally just try to refer it to the future that we're going to go over the comment. Yeah, well, it's always funny when you watch videos on YouTube. Some days, you know, you watch these videos where people are just doing something and talking random rubbish, but yet we still watch them. Is it because we're watching it for the content they're talking about, or the content they're showing, or is it because we actually like the individual? It's often because we like the individual, and this is what the beautiful thing about YouTube. So we have a comment here from Thomas Dale. I was fond of Gentleman Broncos. That was done by the same guys as Napoleon Dynamite. I don't think I've seen that film, so I'll have to check that out. I do like watching films I've not seen before. And Paul Farrer in a comment says these words: "You'll have to teach me a lot about this period, as I'm probably considered a noob compared to you." Well, yeah, to a degree we would be, but as in any period of history we start recreating and reenacting, you've got to start somewhere. So you start off with your very basic knowledge you think you know about the Vikings. But then over time you talk to these very interesting individuals, and you make great friends, and you learn a lot more. And then you become addicted to the Dark Ages and start wanting to have a massive library on it. But it is a fascinating era of history, and very underestimated as well. Yes, I've got a massive extent of films I need to watch the trailers of and review. So I keep finding more films we can review. So, and here's a comment from Paul Farrer: "I'll add it to my extensive list of films I need to watch." Oh, cool. I'll probably forget it by morning. Thomas Dale: "I've got a camp chair, but Elton John's is a even camper chair." Indeed it is. Oh yeah, Rocket Man. Yeah. Oh yeah. Very 1970s there, Thomas. Oh, we have now 4 people watching. That's great. Oh, please leave us a comment. Leave me a comment. We do love reading your comments on this channel. And for the next 4 or 5 weeks, we got a comment reading video every week on a Wednesday. So I'm currently up to episode 6 recorded, and we'll probably have more episodes recorded in the next few weeks, as well as doing another vlog episode. So I'd like to do a vlog every week, but often when you're trying to arrange filming with Egil, it doesn't always work out, and therefore if we miss a week of the vlog. But yeah, it's just a hobby after all. You can't be doing it all the time, although I do think about it all the time. I've got YouTube on my mind. Anyway, So we'll look where we look like for time. Bear with me, just a close-up of a Viking. Well, I'm not sure how long this is going to last. So we keep going until it dies. Perhaps I might tell you a quick folk tale before we go. Dropping my sword on the ground. Oh, I'm terrible. I'm very sorry, sword. I will take more care of you. And we have a comment here from Thomas Dale. Paul, it's a fascinating period is the Dark Ages. This is the good channel to watch to start getting the gist of the period. Yeah. There's lots of other channels like us, and a lot of channels better than us in many aspects. But then again, they've been around a lot longer. So we're still very, very fresh on YouTube. And Paul Farr in the comment says, I'd love to pop up before the end of the year, but I'd definitely pop up in the new year, my friend. Yes, pop up in the new year. We'll get you on the camera, teach you some sword fighting, and make some content. I like the idea of that. I'm always up for making content. So, we'll sort it on Facebook. And any more comments before we end this live stream and I go and get chains out of this nice clothing into modern clothes? I would wear these all the time, but you look a bit stupid in Derby. Look at him, he's dressed as a Viking. You know, it's bound to happen. But one day we'll all dress as Vikings in Derby. I want to do a version of Techno Egil Viking in Derby Centre, a load of people. So Paul Farrer says, currently watching a film called Outlaw King. Don't know if you heard or watched it before. Yes, I do know all about it. We have been meaning to review the trailer, but so far I've not managed to sit down with Egil and do the notes, because it's like 2.5 minutes long, that trailer. And I often find it's better to do the notes for the trailer reviews with Egil rather than do it on my own. So, as always on this channel, we're always quite late with the trending videos, but we'll probably be out before the end of this year. But it does look quite good. It's nice to see that in the film they're using gambesons. So that's quite nice to see. I think Hollywood's picking up on gambesons now. This is one of these here. This is actually made by a guy called Cormac O'Neill, and he's an Irishman. And he's quite famous for going on Time Team and making a Celtic mirror, but refusing to talk English to them and talk nothing but ancient Celtic during the whole episode of Time Team. And that is what he made, which is quite rare because he often took orders and never fulfilled them. But it is a lovely gambeson. One I would never sell. Although I am thinking about making one, just for the fun of it, because I can. You know, you definitely must own a gambeson once in your life. And Thomas Dale says, oh, Outlaw King is meant to be brilliant, but the combat is apparently lacking. Shadowversity has done a couple of reviews of it. Yes, I've seen those reviews of Shadowversity, and you know, it was very, very funny. One of the channels I look up to, so in a few years we'll be a bit like Shadowversity, but in our own way, in the Northworthy way. So just bear with us, we will get there. And we're still live streaming. Oh yes, I like that. Perhaps the battery might last a bit longer as I put the battery mobile setting on medium. So as our previous live streams have been about 2 hours long, because that's the limit of the camera life. Although I do have attached a battery, so in theory it should keep pumping juice in. But I think the amount of electric going into the camera is being used up by the screen on the back. It's a pity you can't turn the screen off, then you could live stream a lot longer. It's another thing to worry about and to think about in the future. But if I can figure out how to live stream with a new camera, I will do. Because then that's going to give you a really, really nice quality imagery at night. Because it's really good at low light. And you won't keep having this focus error on the camera. Oh, there's one there, look, it keeps trying to focus on me. That's the sign that the camera's just struggling too much, the processor. You get to learn all this doing YouTube. Yeah, we've got quite a few reviews already lined up to do and record. I think the next one we're going to record is the review of the first season of the Vikings. So that'll be done, and then we'll try to get out the next 4 or 5 seasons too, because that'll be out soon, I think. And then we're going to look at reviewing other things like Game of Thrones. I think that'll be worth reviewing, just for Game of Thrones fans, because I'd imagine they like to see 2 Vikings talking about Game of Thrones, and definitely Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So all that'll be happening. But I do have probably about 40 movies with a Viking theme to review. Some of them are good films, and others are terrible. But we need to talk about such films. It will happen in time. I've got to start my research again. I've not done no research for the last few days. I've been too busy. So I've got a couple of hordes to finish off, so I can start thinking about filming them. One on the Canterbury Horde, which is a very nice horde from the 6th century. It's like the disc-shaped coins you get around your necklace, just like them. It's 8 of them it was. It's very similar. Yeah, well, if you get yourself a channel by them, revolving around Game of Thrones, then if you come on to the camera in your night watch kit, then we could talk about the Draugr and the comparison of them to the White Walker, because I think that'll be a very interesting video. Because it does make you think, well, you know, no doubt the zombie thing came from the Vikings, from the undead or the after walker, the above walker, the Appleganger. So that's something we're going to do in the future. I'd very much like to do that. And I've still not quite finished my research yet on the Draugr. I think I've got one more page to go, and then I'm ready to do a video on the folklore of the Draugr. It alone is a very interesting subject. It's interesting how they'll often be seen carrying coffins on the back, and often they would go to people they didn't like in the real life they lived to go and haunt them. And of course there would be normal steel would not hurt them, so only magical weapons could hurt the Draugr, or a hero wielding a weapon could hurt the Draugr. And they also had other abilities to, you know, to do many things, to curse people. So that'll be a video coming out soon when I recorded it. And then the next folklore video I'm working on is mermaids and merfolk. So that's going to be quite complex, probably a 4-page research job. So I'm looking forward to doing that video. Because mermaids are yet again very interesting. There's a recent TV series out called Sirens I've watched, revolving around mermaids and the conspiracy that the US government was trying to capture them to use them for research. It's a good series. I've got to watch the last episode of that. But it does make you think, you know, all these different subjects on folklore. Where does it all come from? You know, where, you know, they talk about dragons in the Dark Ages with all the dragon motifs and serpents. Where did that come from? It's all very interesting. I'm just waiting now for that moment when the screen goes blank. They will probably say the live stream will continue afterwards, but without no picture. Because normally on a live stream you have to end it. So we'll see. There's a comment here from Thomas Dale. There are no backswords in it either. Oh yes, that was a good thing about it. And the armour was a little bit late at times in the Outlaw King. I got a book on Robert the Bruce, a couple of books, so I'll have to read up on him. So it's a little bit later from our era of history to later medieval times. It's not something I really wanted to get too heavily into, but for the sake of being trending, although we're past trending now with it, we will do a video on that trailer. And there's also the possibility of reviewing fight scenes from some of these series, like Vikings or The Last Kingdom, which I think would be quite interesting to review. Although, like I said, I never really want to include the footage. I'll just put the link to the video. It's far easier for me to do that and not risk having any issue with copyright, because some of these companies that own the rights to these trailers will jump on you, even though you're using it with fair use. This is why we need to talk about Article 13 more and stop that from happening. Oh yeah, I hope to be filming next week as well with Egil. Got some more folk tales for him to tell. We recently told a story called The Three Sillies together, and I think when I recorded it I probably over talked him a bit, so I kind of felt that I should do it again. But I'm certainly going to record some of my earlier folk tales, like the Mermaid of Volga. It's a great tale, but a lot of them were shot with the first original camera, so it would be very good to redo those videos. So let's just catch up with the comments. So Thomas Dale says cool, and another comment from Thomas Dale: our review of each episode of Game of Thrones would be interesting. It would be, but it probably wouldn't be the first series I want to do a review episode by episode of. I'll probably choose The Last Kingdom or Vikings. And one of the problems with reviewing episodes, it actually fundamentally means me and Egil sitting down together to watch those episodes and writing notes, which is not the most easiest thing to organise. So a comment here from Paul Farrer: there's a castle in the Isle of Man that's about 2 minutes away from me. That's Robert the Bruce stayed and fortified after it was taken over during the siege. Peel Castle is its name. Yes, I've heard of that castle. And Thomas Dale says, there are revenants in Thomas of Newborough's History of English Affairs. They're interesting. From the 12th century, they carried their coffins as well. Yes, it is very interesting, that. And I've got to check out some of the later medieval accounts of the Dragar and include them in the video, because it would be a shame not to. And Paul Farrer says, well, that's what history says. Indeed it does. And Thomas Dale says, cool. You know when the ale's gone? When it's empty. What a shame. I'll have another beer before I go to bed. It'll help me sleep. So Thomas Dale says, that's interesting on the mermaids as well. Yeah, I've got to do a little bit more research on the mermaids. I've generally got a few websites I've been working on. And we've also got some more mermaid tales to tell, because I've not got too many on the channel yet. So just watch this space. I think there's a couple of Scottish mermaid tales I've read, so I might try to tell them, because so far we've got no Scottish tales on the channel. We've got one tale from Wales, so we need some more of them, and probably some Cornish tales, as I've got a very good book on Cornish folk tales. And Paul Farrer says, the ale's never gone when we were on camp. Oh no, it wasn't. And boy, oh boy, did we drink. Then again, we were professionals and the members of the Temperance and Training Society. We were trying to give up drinking, but just kept on failing. I still have that sign. But I got the old wanted volunteer sign up there on my wall. So Daz Paul's got the flag back, because he asked for that back, so I gave him the banner back. So it's in safe hands, and we've been told that if we ever want to reform, we can have it back. So you never know, in many years' time, we're both old, Paul. Yes, Temperance and Training Society. Oh, tits, yeah. Oh yeah. I'll have to make Thomas a member of it. I'll restart it again. I've still got the sign. It's in the attic. I'll keep meaning to get it out, actually. I'll put it on my wall, because it makes me chuckle. I've got to do a sign up here with wounds saying subscribe as well at some point. So that's going to happen. Those were the good days. I think I had better fun in the American Civil War society than I did with the Dark Age societies. There was lots of politics around back in the day. Too many people with egos. And that kind of ruined the hobby for me. So that's why I got back into American Civil War. I never thought I'd be doing this and being on camera on YouTube and as a Viking. If you asked me 2 years ago or 18 months ago, I would have laughed at you. No way. But it's fun. It's a great experience live streaming and doing this. So I do highly recommend it to everybody to have a go. Plus, it's also building up a lot of confidence when it comes to speaking to people. Paul Farrer says, we were never that good at drinking, to be honest. Well, we weren't professionals, no. We're going to make us sound out to be a bunch of drunks, but we're not. But, you know, you go away reenacting, then, and you're an adult, then you want to have a beer at night. Why not? And, you know, there's some white characters, weren't there? So, on camp. Now, I was always going to take my Viking swords in camp and do some Viking combat, but I never got round to doing that with Joby. That would have been fun. Just any more comments? Alright, stretch my back. It's hard work sitting on this bench for 2 hours. That makes you think how many Vikings have backache. Oh, that blooming male. Well, I do have to have a big axe, too heavy for my back. But then again, back in the day, the men would have been much stronger than what we are. We're very weak in modern society. We don't walk like they did. I mean, could you imagine walking all the way up north, you know, to the Battle of Fulford and then expected to walk all the way back down to Hastings in a few days? We wouldn't do it, would we? And Paul Forrest says in a comment, too much politics in reenacting, but you just got to try and ignore it and just get on with what you're doing. Yeah. Well, my philosophy was leave politics at home and just enjoy the hobby. And if anybody started on politics, well, you're not too heads together. But it doesn't always work that way. And it's a shame because too much politics and people's egos have ruined a lot of reenactors' hobbies. It's a shame that. But it's still a great hobby to do. I still highly recommend it to folk. Go and have a go. Join up. Maybe you want to do World War II or be a Viking. This is a great way to spend your weekend and to get away from this modern world we live in. And you will make friends for life. I assure you of that, you will. And it's always nice, you know, even if you go away from society and you come back many years later, it's like you're not gone away. I don't know if you got that. I had that feeling. Well, I'm going to end this live stream soon. It's been 2 hours and the camera could basically go on for hours at this point. So it'd be very nice to end it without just the camera dying. So we'll probably end this soon so I can get to sleep. I've got some more work to do. I've always got videos to work on, comments to read, comments to answer, SEO videos to do, search engine optimization for you folk who don't know what SEO is, but it is a very important aspect of YouTube. And Paul says, I'll get you doing some World War II at some point. Well, that would be cool. I'm always up for that. I may have long hair by then. And Thomas Dale says, laughed out loud. That's what tits mean, laughed out loud. Yes, I'll be a tit as well. Yes, that is a society reinvented in the American Civil War society for just having a good time and drinking. It was just very funny when we invented it, and it remains funny to this day. And Paul Farrer says, I love just getting away from technology and enjoying talking to people. I do as well. Oh yeah. But then again, without technology, we won't be having none of this. So let's just hope that no massive solar flare comes and wipes out electronics on the planet. Because we'll be back in the Stone Age, or the Viking Age. Hey, I like that. I would actually. It's still quite strange watching yourself on camera doing all this. What am I doing there? Yeah. Just like that. Show, hide. Oh, I think I can click that. I've not seen this before. This is a comment hold for review. Show. Yeah, there we go. Oh, another moderator just handled this. Oh, wait for handling the comment, Thomas. They are all tits. Some are bigger than others. Yes, that's going to confuse a lot of people now. Never mind. Well, the thing about live streams, I could always set it to private later, but I won't do on the watch time. It's one of the problems now when you need 4,000 hours a year to get monetized and 1,000 subs. But in many aspects, it's made YouTube a lot better because it's cut out a lot of these people who are just trying to make money and not trying to make content. YouTube want people to make content and creators like myself and you as well. We're all very highly valued. And it's a great way to have fun, and certainly with people going to have more time on their hands in the future. People are going to be watching more content. And a comment here from Paul Farrer. Haha, it is all just a bit of fun. It is. If you can keep it fun and have a good time, make good friendships, then you're winning. Any more comments? I'm trying to think of a folk tale I could tell you, but I've got brain freeze at the moment, and I do know quite a lot of folk tales. I could tell you the one, my favourite, Bucala, before I go. And I hope the camera stays active for it, because that's a decent tale. But it'd be nice to finish on a folk tale. What do you think? Want me to tell you a Bucala? Have you heard the folk tale Bucala, Paul Farrer? An Icelandic folk tale. And of course, the Friday live stream is a folk tale theme live stream, and that's what we're trying to incorporate every Friday. Is a kind of a folklore, folk tale themed live stream, and I think it'll be great getting Thomas on camera as well, sitting next to me, because I can't really see everyone wanting to come out of bed at 10 o'clock, and much as I'd love to have him here, you can't expect somebody to do all the content. Well, there was once this couple, they was farmers, and they didn't have much coin. They had a nice little farmstead in the north of Iceland, the land of ice and fire. And they had a son. He was a boy. He was soon to be a man. And the one possession they had and they loved and treasured dearly was the cow they had. And the cow was no ordinary cow. No, not indeed. And this cow was called Bucala. And one day, the wife of the farmer, the husband, and the man of the household went out. And the cow was, well, she was giving birth. And she gave birth to a very nice calf. And the lady of the house went in to get a cloak to wrap this calf in. But when she came out, something very strange had happened. For the cow had disappeared. And this deeply upset the couple. It was their only cow they had and their most prized possession. Without the cow they could not plough the land and plant the crops they needed, the barley. And they looked high and low. They looked in all the outbuildings, but no, they could not find the cow. And they looked in the local wood in case it wandered off. But still they could not find the cow, Bucala. And in the end they said to their boy, well, we are very upset. And you must go out tomorrow and you must come back with our cow. And the next morning came round and they gave him some brand new shoes and a leather bag which had some nice cheese and some bread. And they sent him off. And this young boy, he'll be about 12 or 13, He'd been walking all morning, and his belly was getting empty and making some funny noises. So he decided to sit down on a rock, and he got this bread out of his bag, took out some bread and cheese, and started to eat it. And then after he ate the bread and cheese, he said, "Bukola, Bukola, you must moo if you can hear me." And he listened, and in the distance, a very long way away, he heard a mooing of a cow, and he knew that that cow was Bukola. So he set off again on his feet, and he spent all afternoon walking over this vast plain in Iceland. And he was tired, so he sat down again on a log, and again he got some cheese out, some bread. He was very hungry. He had walked many leagues. And he had his bread and cheese, and again he shouted out, "Bukola, Bukola, you must moo if you can hear me." And in the distance he could hear a moo. And he knew from that moo that it was Bukola and in what direction to go. So he started walking again, and he walked all late afternoon until the sun was almost setting. And then he sat down on a rock and had some more bread and cheese. But this was no ordinary place, for he was on the edge of a massive cliff. And after he had the bread and cheese, he said those words again, "Bukola, Bukola, you must moo if you can hear me." And again he heard a moo. But this time it was not far away, but it was underneath him. So our young boy, he climbed down the cliff in 3 big leaps. And what did you think he found at the bottom of the cliff? Well, he found a massive cave. And we all know what lives in caves. It is either trolls or giants. So very carefully he crept in the cave. And in the middle of the cave was a massive wooden beam. And around the cave was the side passages, where he saw giants asleep. And in the middle of this cave, this beam was attached to Bukola, tethered with a rope. So he very carefully crept up to the cow and said, "Bukola, you must be quiet and we must escape." So very carefully they both crept out of the cave, and in 3 massive leaps they both leapt up the cliff and started to walk back. But then a giantess inside the cave woke up and realised that the cow, Bukola, had gone, and started to pursue the boy and the cow. And the boy and Bukola had been walking for some time, but in the distance they kept on hearing loud noises, thump, thump, thump. It was the sound of the footsteps of the giantess, and over time they could see the giantess getting closer. But then suddenly something strange happened. The cow spoke and said, "You must pluck a hair from my tail and lay it on the ground and sing." So the boy did this. He got a hair, pulled it out, he laid it on the ground, and then the cow says, "You must turn into a mighty river that only a bird on the wing could pass." And suddenly before the boy's eyes this mighty river appeared, over a league wide, and no way the giantess could get over this river. And they continued travelling, but the giantess caught up to the river, and behind the giantess was another giant, a servant giant, and she shouted back, "You must go back and fetch my father's cow, a mighty ox." And this giant did this, the servant giant, and brought back this massive cow. And she instructed the massive cow, which was said to be 30 leagues high, to drink the river dry. And in 2 big massive mouthfuls the river was drank dry by this cow. and the giantess was able to continue pursuing the boy and the cow. And again the boy and the cow kept on moving and walking, and again they kept on hearing the sound of the footsteps of the giant. Thump, 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 thump. And as the giantess grew closer, the louder the thumps got. And again the cow spoke. You must pluck a hair from my tail and lay it on the ground and sing. And this is what the boy did. He got a hair, he plucked it from the cow's tail, laid it on the cow, and then the cow spoke these words. You must turn into a mighty, mighty river of fire that only a bird on the wing could pass. And this is what happened. Before the boy's eyes, suddenly flames appeared so high that no giantess or creature could possibly get over them. And the boy felt safe again and continued going back home to his parents' longhouse with the cow. But then the giantess caught up and saw this massive wall of flames, and she instructed the servant giant, Oi, you must go back and fetch my father's cow. So the giant did this, the servant, and after some time brought back this massive cow, and the giantess instructed it to let all the water out from the river. And this is what happened. The cow let all the water out and the flames were put out, and the giantess was able to pursue the boy and the magical cow Bucola. Well, the boy and the cow were kept on moving, but again they was getting very scared and nervous that this giantess, a most ugly giantess you could ever imagine, with big eyes and a big bulbous nose and spots on her face, was going to catch up with them. So again the cow spoke these words and said, You must pluck a hair from my tail and lay it on the ground to sing. And this is what the boy did. The boy got a hair, plucked it from the cow's tail and laid it on the ground. And then the cow spoke these words, You must turn into a mighty, mighty mountain range, which only a bird on the wing could pass. And suddenly, before the boy's eyes, mountains grew out of the ground, so huge he was very scared it would take him days to cross. But he managed, with the cow's help, to get over them very quickly, and he soon found himself on the opposite side of the mountain range, away from this very ugly giantess. Trust me, she was ugly. And again the giantess caught up with the boy and stood before the giantess with this giant mountain range, and she said to the giant servant, You must go back and fetch my father's gimlet, my father's drill. And this is what the giant servant did. He went and soon came back with a massive drill, and suddenly the giantess started to drill a hole through the mountain, drilling and drilling and drilling, until eventually she broke through the other side, and then she started to crawl through this big hole. But something strange happened, for halfway through the hole she became stuck and could not get out. And it is said that the giantess died and turned to stone, and is still there today. And the boy and the cow, well, they got back home, and his parents were very happy to see that he had brought the cow back. But something else they was also very happy to see, for the boy was no longer a boy, for he had become a man. The end of the tale. And I do hope you enjoy that Icelandic folk tale, one of my favourites. Was hail. It's a pity I don't have some bread and cheese in here. I could eat it right now. I love bread and cheese. It's good camp food. And I think that now I'm going to soon end this live stream when I'm giving you guys a chance to say goodbye, so I can think about getting to bed. You know, hour or so. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I do enjoy telling these tales, and every time I tell them, I generally get better at telling them as well. So I do urge you to go and check out my other version of that, which is about 16 minutes long. And I believe the 600 shout out video is the same story, but I got the name wrong. Instead of calling it Bucola, I called it Bucolo. And it kind of demonstrates that some days when you can make a very simple mistake in a folk tale, it can completely ruin that folk tale. And no doubt I'll be telling you more folk tales live on camera in other future live streams. Perhaps we could do a live stream from Icelandic folk tales, and we could do a live stream on Swedish folk tales, and a live stream on Danish folk tales, Norwegian folk tales. We can just go forever. We really can. There's just so many tales to tell. That's me stretching my back aching. They've never quite been the same. It's a Viking back complaint. Ooh. It makes you think Vikings will be doing this in the longhouse. Oh, my back's aching. It's all that blooming digging in the fields for onions. Yes, Manx tales. I've not even thought about Manx folk tales, so yeah, that'll be brilliant. I mean, no doubt I could find you some folk tales to very quickly learn on camera and record them when you're up here. Even the ones we've already told. People would like to see other people tell the same folk tale because that's very interesting. You know, you'd never get the same folk tale twice. And I think it's probably also the same when you tell a folk tale, unless you know that folk tale so well that you can just tell it off by heart. But it's also quite funny that when I tell a folk tale, I generally then know the folk tale off by heart. I might forget some of the names of the places. I'll have to read up on that to remember. But it's just a fascinating subject. And you know, you just type on the internet, YouTube,